Hi, I'm Michael Hirsch. I've enjoyed a great career in animation and produced a lot of the shows that you grew up with. And I'm pleased to be here with Geekcast Radio.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, and you are listening to Studio 2009.
Stephen Root, isn't that the
He was the water merchant, and he was in News Radio. He was Bill from
Oh yes,
King of the Hill, and then he was I can't remember the character's name, but he was in Office Space. He was the guy with the stapler. Milton.
Yeah, Milton. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of was Milton. I was like, Milton.
Yeah, that's going to be one of my criticisms of both of these shows.
Yeah.
Are the cameos.
It's don't, buddy. We're gonna have fun.
Okay.
Fuck those cameos.
Well, and then the weird irony is the one that bothered me the least is the one that everybody hated the most because I didn't know who she was.
Oh yeah. Well, because we'll get into that. All right. Drink them if you got them. All right, Archie, let's go.
Pizza the Hut!
There is nothing wrong with your podcast player. Do not attempt to adjust the volume. Hello and welcome back into our studio. You are now inside Studio 2009, only on the Geekcast Radio Network. I'm, of course, TFG1Mike. Joining me once again, as always, for Star Wars stuff is Mr. David Draper. Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm hanging in there.
That's good. Today
Not
we
dead
had...
yet.
Yeah, not dead yet. That's good. That's good. Absolutely. Today we head once again to a galaxy far, far away. That's right. We continue the 12 months of Star Wars spotlight here inside the studio, and we make our way past the Skywalker saga. Thank God for now. Today we will be discussing Boba Fett Season 1 and The Mandalorian Season 3. But first...
Do I get to make noises for those?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so Boba Fett Season 1 is like, aw. They're both kind of aw. Because we'll get to them. We got a lot to talk about this time.
But first, a tangent, because, ladies and gentlemen, in the news now, The Acolyte is not getting a Season 2. It has been disavowed. It's done.
I love how you put that.
I know that's crossing genres between Star Wars and Mission Impossible.
No, but like that's the best. Like I've seen like 2 or 3 videos on this, and that's the best. It's been just because the story now is that they pulled all the merchandise from the Disney store.
Mm-hmm.
Although like apparently someone used the Wayback Machine, and there was only like 4 shirts to begin with. Really.
I know you have your whole thing, and I'm going to let you do your whole thing.
Okay. I'm sorry.
But no. But it's, like for me on the Acolyte, and I think I've said this in the other episodes that we've briefly talked about the show, kind of thing, as it's been in the news. I don't care. I won't watch unless somebody pay. And I've said this before, and I don't think anyone will. Unless somebody pays me $50 per episode, so that's 8 episodes, whatever that ends up being. If you pay me $50 per of those 8 episodes, I will watch The Acolyte and I will do a podcast on it for that season that it gets, because it's not going to get another one. That's fine. But for me, Star Wars starts at Phantom Menace and goes through Jedi into Mando and Boba and Ahsoka and all the stuff they're doing now. This 100 years before the Skywalker saga stuff, like, I don't know how they expect us to get, like, take any character that they've introduced since 1983. So since Jedi. You've got all the stuff in the prequel trilogy. You've got all the new characters there with Jimmy Smits as, Bail
Organa.
Bail Organa. You've got Natalie Portman as Luke's mom.
Padme Amidala.
Yeah,
Natalie.
all that. Yeah, you finally have a young Anakin Skywalker in Hayden, which I love Hayden.
He seems like a nice kid. Yeah,
he's awesome.
He's not a kid anymore.
Well, right, but like no, because I know you're not on Instagram, but I can't not be on Instagram because I love the way that content is on my phone. It's just easy scrolling content, and I can watch reels or clips or stories really quickly. And I've seen several stories where he's been at conventions and he's talked about the stuff that he's done with the franchise, and I'm just like, that dude is awesome. Same thing with young Obi.
Ewan McGregor.
Yes, thank you. Ow. It's just awesome. And then Rosario as Ahsoka is just amazing. So no, I love all the stuff, but like for Acolyte, I don't want something before the beginning of the story. Yes, I know George. I always say George sold his shit. Yes, he's going to have some little bits of input, and maybe he can guide Disney in certain ways, but he's not in charge anymore. He's not creating anymore. The man is 80 years old. He's at the point of wanting. Maybe he wants to retire. I don't know. I'm not going to put whatever in his mouth, words in his mouth. But
I mean, Kathy is like in her 70s.
Yeah, but like seriously, like I mean,
what's with this age in him?
Yeah, once I get 75 or 80, I've always said for the last 16 years, I'm probably going to die with a microphone in my mouth because I'll probably never stop podcasting because it's in my blood and all that stuff and everything else. But like at some point, I'm going to end up retiring from this. I don't know when, but probably when I eventually lose my voice, if that ever happens, heaven forbid. But the point is, the man is 80 years old. He's got a career that spans what? When was THX?
Late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
It's been about a 50-year career. I mean, I know Lucasfilm turned 50 a year or two ago. Mm-hmm. So,
So the point is, the man is, at retirement age. I don't think he's going to, and that's fine. And if Disney wants to, 1971 was the year you were born.
The year I was born.
There you go.
Which means 53 years.
I wasn't going to say it.
I think people can do math.
Exactly.
Just pity on the audience.
But yes, Acolyte has been canceled, and I still have no I don't every trailer I've seen of it. I've only watched one or two. Because for me, I will take Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley or Axel F or whatever Netflix is calling it. Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is what it's called actually. They released a teaser trailer. And then they released an official theatrical trailer. Those are the only two things I need. Right now on YouTube, there was something that was uploaded where it was like every single clip of this movie or every single cool clip. It was like 6 different videos. I'm like, if I'm going to watch the mother movie or TV show or cartoon or whatever, I want to watch it. 2 trailers, teaser and full trailer is all I need. The rest, I don't care. And my point in saying that is everything I've seen about Acolyte, I don't care about watching this show or not watching.
Can I just interrupt here with a point?
Sure.
It's funny because you said that about Andor.
I know.
And you liked Andor.
Yes, I liked Andor. But you also said off air, now it's going to be on air. You looked at me and said, there's no way in hell I'm doing Acolyte. I'm like, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, and at the time I meant that, I'm not here to praise Acolyte. I'm here to bury it, like Mark Anthony. I'm letting you do your thing, and then I'll get into it.
Yeah. But yes, Acolyte has been canceled. Everybody is apparently rejoicing because of it.
See, but it's weird because I'm neither rejoicing nor angry about it.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm ambivalent. It got 1 season, great.
I see. When I was a kid back in the day, back in the 80s, yes. There were a lot of TV shows. The thing is, science fiction became a big thing because of Star Wars, and kind of because of Star Trek. And it was a bigger thing in the movies, and they would always try to do TV shows. And I was lazy. I didn't look up the names of half of them, but half of them would be 2 episodes and gone because there wasn't the viewership. I mean, the reason Acolyte failed is because there weren't enough people to watch it. This is going to be a larger theme about our complaints about going forward, about the direction that Lucasfilm has taken, is they're making product for a very, very small audience. More people complain about Acolyte being canceled than watched it. And most of the people who watched it, not most, but a significant chunk of the people who watched it were doing it because they had a YouTube channel where they complained about it.
I don't hate watch.
No, I'm old and I'm falling apart. I don't have the time to waste on things I don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
And that will actually come up later in this episode. But like, I watched one episode, and I watched it because it was the third episode. And if you heard about the show, the third episode was the one that everybody, was like, "Ooh, this is what destroys Star Wars once and for all." And it was like, it was okay. Like, it was not like, it wasn't the worst thing ever. It was a little, the chant was stupid, and they actually turned that into a song for the final credits. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many. But like, the more I heard about just the writing is terrible on that show. It's like characters just change their motivations from 1 minute to the next. I'm going to surrender. No, I'm going to fight. No, I'm going to surrender. No, I'm going to kill the Jedi. And then there was a bit where Leslie Headland apologized to the viewers because the spoiler alert for Acolyte, for those of you who really are just waiting around to see it eventually, I'd get on that quick because the Willow series is an example of what's going to happen. But the guy from Squid Games gets killed at the end. Like his former apprentice kills him because he exists and he's a man, I guess, and he accepts it because that's what good men do. They accept their death, and the showrunner apologized for that because of course it wasn't emotionally satisfying. His death wasn't satisfying enough because he accepted it, so he ruined it for her by not struggling and suffering more. And I'm just like, these people are psychopaths.
Yeah, they are.
Literal psychopaths. Well, I mean, famously, Amanda, I can't remember her last name. She did a diss track of the, quote, fans, end quote, that criticized the show, which is, it's always a good idea to fight with the people you need.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Like that's the thing. Like that's one of the biggest problems with social media is that it gives a lot of people an outlet to push back when you should just sort of, like, if you're in the public eye, even like we are to an extent, you're going to take your lumps. There's going to be people that don't like you. And this is actually a lesson that I learned, which I don't know that I ever completely absorbed it, but it bothered me, which is that, like, people can, if you're in the eye, it's professionalism to take a hit and not retaliate. Like, it's not professional to retaliate. And I was kind of like, but the professionals are doing the one punching. Like, why can't I punch back? And they were like, no. And I'm like, well, this is stupid. But I mean, like, in terms of like the audience criticizing you, you got to accept it. You got to accept it and you got to move on. You got to say, the right response is always, I'm sorry you didn't like it. The next one will be better. The next thing will be better. We'll try harder next time. Like we're really sorry. We tried our best. We will do better next time. Like, not screw you, stupid incel man. Particularly when this show is in the whole category of it's not made for you. I'm so sick of things not being made for me. Like, I can accept that because there's like a lot of things that aren't made for me. And like my example, I think was 1982. I can't remember. It was 82 or 81. It was the year like one of the Friday the 13th came out. Night Dinner with Andre came out, and Raiders of the Lost Ark came out. And like of those three films, only one was, quote, made for me, which was Raiders. It was an action adventure film that appealed to young boys. Right. And young girls liked it too. That's one of the most tedious things about having these conversations in modern era is that a show can be aimed for person A, and there are no barbed wires. There are no dogs being walked across the borders. Little girls can like Star Wars, but it's a boys' franchise. It's designed to be a thing that appeals to boys. Doesn't mean girls can't like it. Doesn't mean girls aren't allowed to like it. It just means that it has the flavor of a boy's property. Action adventure, faster, more intense, pew pew, Yeah. Less human relationships, more stuff and action.
More droids.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean like you can't like, we're just coming out of a time when like My Little Pony was a huge thing with boys and girls.
Yep.
So it's like I just think that we pretend to be stupid in these discussions, which drives me crazy. You said it was a boys' franchise, and no, like the two women that are the biggest in my life both really love Star Wars. Well, one likes Star Wars and one loved Star Wars. Like as a kid, loved Star Wars. Like I have her action figure collection because she gave it to me, but like, and she actually liked the Acolyte. So it's just frustrating that they go, it's not made for you. And then, of course, I go, okay. Like, it's frustrating in this particular genre because Star Wars was made for me. It was my thing.
Yep.
I don't know why it can't be for me anymore. Like, just because I'm pale and male. Okay, fine. But then they fail. Like, the Marvel movies fail. Like, the Marvels failed. Acolyte failed. And then they're like, well, you chuds, you incels, you didn't support us. You told me you didn't want me. You told me you didn't need me.
Yeah, exactly.
And, it's like a reverse Henny Penny thing. It's like, who will help me bake the bread? It's like we don't want you around until it's time to actually like pay for the bread, and then we need you.
Yeah.
And no, like that's the thing, is that's why I'm not going to hate watch, because I'm not going to give them anything.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, I don't. Okay, I know I've talked about this before on the show. When I was a kid, my mom showed me Nightmare on Elm Street. I was 5 or 6 whenever that movie came out. I'm not looking at Wikipedia right now.
It's like early 80s.
Yeah, it's mid 80s. But it's one of those things where she showed that to me, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm a scared, crapless little kid right now because
this is a scary movie. Yeah,
because this is a scary movie. 84. Oh God, it's the 40th anniversary of Nightmare on Elm Street 2. We're not doing that movie.
Oh, look, man, that's on you. That's on you and whoever you record with, man.
No, I know, but I'm like, wait a minute here. And I love how Wikipedia, you can just type in the search bar and it'll pull results up without actually having to look at the article, and you can just find out what the date is. But anyway, point is I saw that. Okay, so if it came out in theaters in 84, it was probably on VHS or Betamax or whatever in 85 or 86. So sometime between the time I was 5 and 6 years old, I saw Freddy Krueger, The Nightmare on Elm Street, and it scared me shitless. Obviously, as a kid, I couldn't use the term shitless because kids should not curse, kind of thing, but it scared me shitless. And that is why I do not do the horror genre. And what I mean by the horror genre is horror in the way of jump scare, in the way of, oh my God, everything is blood, oh my God, this, oh my God, that. You know, like, I know it's not horror, and we already covered, but RRR. That first scene with the guy ripping the thing off the door, taking the kid's head off the door or whatever he did.
Wait, what?
In the first scene of RRR.
In the jungle?
No. In the first scene when they're on the road and he knocks the kid down when he opens the door to the car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a little.
Which is in the jungle, yes. But
right, okay, fine, whatever. I don't know where it was, whatever it is. This is the first scene. That's all I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, rip the kid's head off. I'm like, what?
I don't remember. But again,
he gets knocked down. The woman gets beaten with like a stick or something. It's really ugly.
Yeah, it's really ugly. And that's why I don't like horror, is because most of the jump scare horror things are really ugly and just too much blood, guts, and gore. I don't do blood, guts, and gore. So my whole point in this is that I know, for the most part, that side of the horror genre is not for me, and that's okay, because I have a bunch of other stuff that I can do. And I've always said, I always look at things in the time that they were made. You can say there's all kinds of problems with, and I'm just using this as an example, even though there really isn't any problems with this film, Ghostbusters 84, or Back to the Future Part 2, or Part 3, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can say there are problems, or films are problematic now, but they weren't back then, because it was just making entertainment. It was just making something for somebody to escape into, a world for somebody to escape into, to take away their stresses of everyday life. So I don't look at this whole thing of hate watch this, hate watch that. Like I said earlier in this episode, I will watch a trailer or a teaser and then a trailer. I will watch two things. And if those things get me excited or they interest me, I will watch whatever TV show, movie, whatever it is. But if they don't, I'm just going to go on my merry way and not worry about it. Hate watching is the dumbest fucking thing that this world now has in entertainment. It's so stupid. Why are you going to waste your time on something you know you're not going to like?
Well, okay, here's my one caveat to that is, I mean, there can be some enjoyment found in watching something bad if you know it. Like you know, Mr. Giant's Theater, you know, having fun with it.
Yeah.
I don't think these guys are having fun with it.
No. I'm not talking about like.
I know what you're talking about, but like I do think I think someone could legitimately watch Acolyte and have fun with the badness. Maybe because what I saw wasn't really like it wasn't really Plan 9 from outer space. It was just kind of like it was there. I mean, stuff happened. Weird stuff happened. Annoying stuff happened. They mess with the canon. They mess with timeline. They make the Jedi the bad guys. They do a lot of weird, dumb stuff. And it just was not like characters do things just so the plot happens.
Right.
Like the one little otter guy sabotages the ship, and I'm like, why? And they're like, oh well, because then they can't leave. But like he's on their side. Why is he doing that? And just it. And then the story that she's telling doesn't make sense because it's like the character, the twins are different people at the beginning. Like the one twin wants one thing for her life, and the other twin is kind of like, no, you're part of me. Like we kind of own each other. Like you owe me your existence. And at the end, the quote evil twin is right. They're the same person. They are two halves of the same whole. And it's just like, well, that's because the whole thing is supposed to be Leslie Headland working out her issues with her sister, and I'm like, wow, if I were her sister, I'd be taking out a restraining order by now. This whole you're half of me, and we're the same person, and it's just weird. It's bad writing. Like that's my thing. I don't hate quote unquote woke stories. I don't hate quote unquote woke characters. I don't like dull characters. I don't like bad writing.
Yeah,
do
it's the writing
with them, and I will enjoy it.
I don't know. Woke culture is a whole other episode on a whole different other show, whatever.
I mean, that's the catchphrase that's used to criticize this stuff.
I understand that. Yes, I understand that. But what I'm saying is I'm agreeing with you. The thing is that the problem is everybody is stuck in this. We have to create some, like, again, Acolyte is supposed to, it's 100 years before the Phantom Menace. I said before, in our other episodes that we've done, Andor fits in a certain part of the universe. It fits in. It's not excised out to a different part of the timeline. Mandalorian fits in. Ahsoka fits in. Rogue One, because Rogue One will go into Andor eventually, but Rogue One literally backs up to the beginning of Star Wars, to A New Hope. So that fits in. I'm perfectly fine with that. What I'm not fine with is these Disney people and these creators, and I don't know if it's I hope it's not Favreau and Filoni. I don't know if it is or not, but they're trying to make a new start point to the Star Wars universe, and I'm like, no, don't, and stop. And you said you only watched the third episode because of all the controversy or whatever.
Yes.
Right, yeah. My not my analytical brain, but my continuity brain could never start on. If I'm watching this show, I have to start on the first episode, and I am sorry, right now I am too damn busy with a bunch of other stuff for podcasts, for stuff that you and I are doing, and for stuff that myself and other people are doing. Average time on these episodes is 30-something, 40-something minutes. So let's just say it's 8 hours. I ain't wasting 8 hours on this show. Not right now. Maybe in a couple of years, but not right now.
Well, I mean, number one, I didn't do it for the show. I did it because I was curious. Number two,
right?
The third episode, number two, we've established our brains don't work the same way.
Sure.
To be fair, like it does. And number three, the way this episode is presented, probably would have been easier because it's a flashback.
Right.
So this part of the story kind of starts on it. It's not like a continuation of. I mean, it is a continuation of what happened before, but it's more like it starts with the kids as kids, whereas the previous episodes they were adults. So right. It's not like you feel like you're coming in the middle of something. You could watch the third episode without having seen the first two. You lose context, but you could watch it.
Right.
Like you could do what we're doing with this entire Star Wars series.
Yep.
Where you could watch the third episode first, and it would only change a little bit because you would watch the first two episodes with more context, as opposed to the way that it was presented, where it's supposed to be a frickin' mystery. Another frickin' mystery.
So before we get into Boba Fett season 1, folks, I've got up. Yes.
Sorry. No. My brain malfunctioned. I thought you were saying Mandalorian season 1. I was trying to correct you, and you were right. You were right. I was wrong.
Before we get into Boba Fett season 1, I have pulled up here the upcoming projects. So we've got Mandalorian and Grogu for May of 2026, an untitled New Jedi Order film, an untitled Dawn of the Jedi film, and an untitled New Republic film, all TBA. Favreau is directing Mandalorian Grogu, somebody else is directing the untitled New Jedi film, and then James Mangold is supposed to do Dawn of the Jedi, and then
hold your breath on that one.
Yeah, I know, probably. And then Filoni is doing the untitled New Republic film.
What about Ahsoka season 2 is being filmed.
Well, that's what I'm getting to that.
Okay, sorry.
So we've got the TV shows. We got Mandalorian. It's got 3 seasons. Book of Boba Fett. Thank God it's only got 1. Andor, Ahsoka, Acolyte. I'm trying to see if there's upcoming.
There's the other one with the kids and the Steven Spielberg suburb that doesn't fit in the Star Wars universe at all.
Yeah, Jedi Temple Challenge? What the hell is that?
That sounds like
no idea.
Legends of the Hidden Temple for Star Wars.
Yeah, probably is. Who knows? But yeah, so that's what's kind of happening with the Star Wars stuff. But we are going to get into the Book of Boba Fett. Oh, God.
I am not a bounty hunter. I've heard otherwise. I know that you sit on the throne of your former employer. Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
You were all once captains under Jabba the Hutt.
I'm here to make a proposal that's mutually beneficial. Why speak of conflict when cooperation can make us all rich?
What prevents us all from killing you and taking what we want?
If you had spoken such insolence to Jabba, he'd have fed you to his menagerie.
Please, speak freely.
All right, so I always say I've never cared about Boba because he was just a one-off. To me, and I know I say this every episode that we talk about Star Wars, he was just a one-off bounty hunter. He was kind of badass in like the half scenes that he got in the movies that he was in, but then he got eaten by the Sarlacc. I'm like, okay, fine, he's dead. Who's the next bounty hunter? And I've also said that I truly believe Mando, Din Djarin, has more character development and interesting factor to him than Boba Fett.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Boba Fett did. So I think some of that though is to be fair, we are different ages. I think Boba Fett was a story of unrealized potential. Like, if you were a kid in 1978 and you happened to watch the holiday special, which I did, there was this, the one thing that everybody remembers as being good is the animated section in the middle where you get the introduction of Boba Fett. And Darth Vader calls him the best bounty hunter in the galaxy. And then he was a mail-away figure before Empire Strikes Back came out. The famous rocket firing thing that never actually got released. They're selling one at auction, and it's like he's painted. There were no painted versions that were ever released. I don't know. It's weird. But point being, as a kid, you're like, this guy looks cool. This guy's amazing. Darth Vader gives him props, and He's a badass, and what's he gonna do? And then in Empire, he doesn't do much.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the bounty hunters just stand there and look cool. Like, and like obviously I fell in love with Boss because he's a dinosaur guy. But like everybody's got their favorite bounty hunter because they just look cool. And Boba Fett was like, I mean, and you're like, okay, well, and he does. He seems to do something kind of cool because he figures out Han's trick, and then Attack of the Clones wrecks that by. He's like, oh, I remember when Obi-Wan did that to my dad. So, but at the time, but the point being, at the time, like, because you got to remember that a lot of the hype probably is with the older fans, and the younger fans probably are like you, where like, because he shows up in Return of the Jedi and he seems cool right up until the point that Han Solo hits him with a stick.
Yep.
And he goes flying and he gets eaten by the Sarlacc. He gets punked. Lucas does this, right? Darth Maul gets punked. Grievous gets punked.
And they all come back. And they all come back except for Tyrannus, I think.
Well, yeah. Well, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about Darth Maul coming back because that's stupid.
Is it really?
He got cut in half and fell down an endless shaft.
I know, but then he got spider legs.
Pillows and Bacta? I mean that is like just like I can't complain about people being stabbed with lightsabers and not dying and be okay with people being cut in half being just fine. No, it's stupid, and that but Lucas does that. Lucas doesn't care. Yeah, because it's just like these characters are cogs in a machine. They do their thing. He was the guy that got Han Solo captured. That's all he ever was to George. Now the fans were like, "Oh, but I wanted to see Boba," and he does a couple of things with the fight with Luke. He does a couple of cool things. Yeah. But everyone's like, "Oh, what could have been? What could have been?" And they brought him back. Like he comes back in Dark Empire, which is the first comic book series. Yep. After the Marvel series ends. Yep. So they brought him back like immediately. Like like he was like one of the first things of the EU, the official EU, was Boba Fett coming back. Yeah. Then they had the story about how Dengar rescued him because he'd been spat up, and then there was a fake Boba Fett that was like blah 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 blah. Like this is bringing Boba Fett back is one of the most canonical things in Star Wars. Oh. But then you've got Attack of the Clones, where you've got Jango, who's a different character. I mean, he's a clone. Boba's a clone of him, and he had the same armor. But you got that fight between him and Obi-Wan, because I wasn't here for that episode. But and it was a way of George kind of giving the fans what they always wanted, which was a badass fight between a Jedi and Boba Fett. It's not Boba Fett, it's Jango, but a Fett, but a Mandalorian super commando, which we'll get to, because that was nobody knew anything about Boba Fett. And then there was this mysterious phrase, Mandalorian super commando, and what does that mean? So we got the fight that we always kind of wanted, and then he got punked. And then Boba Fett picked up the helmet, and then the head went plump. And then we got the Mandalorian. And I feel that the Mandalorian, the whole reason the Mandalorian probably got made is that Jon Favreau was, like most fans of our age, wanted to see Boba Fett do stuff. Yeah. Those early episodes, he's like, being cool. He's using gadgets. He's being a badass. I think that was to fill that empty void of, man, I always wanted to see him use all that stuff in action. Because, they were like they're poster magazines and books, and they would go, he's got rockets in his knees, and he's got like this thing, and he's got that thing, the flame. He constantly is using the flame projector. Yep. Like that first season is a joke because it never works, but he's constantly using it. Yeah. There's like that little pencil thing that's sticking out of his wristband. What does that do? Like, it's just, but I think obviously a fan that comes in later and watches the films after, as an afterthought and doesn't have to wait for it, you're like, this guy sucks. Like, he's a punk. And I get that.
That's how I was as a kid, and that's how I've been for a while. But
if you're a kid and you had that action figure for like a year and a half before he even showed up on screen, you're looking at all the little details like, what does this mean? And what does he do? And you've got to wait 3 years between Empire and Jedi. And, and then he gets punked. And we didn't go, oh, what, that sucks. We went like, oh, we were robbed.
Yeah, exactly. So I think my childhood. Oh my God, my childhood has been destroyed.
No, it wasn't destroyed. But it was, you felt a little cheated. By what I mean is the potential. And then that potential kind of got realized with Jango and got realized with Din. Mm-hmm. And so, like, by the time they get to Book of Boba Fett, like our Boba Fett, our Mandalorian armor needs have been met as a culture.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you do with this character?
Exactly. And the thing for me is, I always say what I've already said in this episode about I don't care about him because he did like 3 things in the movies that he was in. However, that's my basis when I tell people about, like, if somebody asks me about Boba Fett, I will tell them that first. And then I will say, however, since that time, there was a 2-volume comic series called Star Wars Bloodlines about the Fetts. I don't know if it was EU or if it was something else.
EU.
But, yeah, okay, that's fine. I read that, and I enjoyed that. I liked Boba in that. And I like Boba in this. I just, like, if a character dies, okay, and I know they've done this a million times, and there have been a million different series besides this, but if you look at Transformers Generation 1, Megatron, not Hot Rod, Megatron shot and killed Optimus Prime.
No more Optimus Prime! Grant me mercy, I beg of you! You, who are without mercy, now plead for it? I thought you were made of sterner stuff. No, you don't, Megatron! Out of the way, Hot Rod! Fall!
He then came back as a zombie a couple of times, and then they revived him. Okay, fine. Series over, ending over, the rebirth of Cybertron, whatever. That's fine. But normally, like, if you kill a character, if you're done with a character, or if you don't want a character to move on, and that's it, please just let them stay dead and move on with the story.
I take it you don't read a lot of X-Men.
No, I've read some X-Men, and I know there's a lot of, but that's my point, though.
It's a joke. Death is a joke in that comic.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I started reading the new X-Men that Gail Simone is writing right now currently, that first issue. Wow, I'm excited for that series. That's going to be cool. And the only reason why I'm excited for it is because it's Gail Simone, and I loved her Batgirl run and some of the other stuff that she's done. But anyway, that's my history, and my thing with Boba is that half the time when people bring him up, my eyes roll into the back of my head, and I'm just like, oh, God. But then I look at it, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. However, I will say, I don't know why we needed these first 4 episodes just to get to the Mando season 2.5 for 5, 6, and 7. I mean, what I like about this show, what I like about these first 4 episodes, honestly, is after he escapes, after he has his flashbacks, and after he's in the Bacta tank for however long he's, like, I actually like seeing the Tusken Raider stuff.
That's love that
cool
stuff.
To me. Yeah, so I love the Tusken Raider stuff because normally, like, what we've seen of them in the other parts of the universe, it's not much. We've just seen that they're violent characters.
Well, one of the things we said, I think, in the first, it was the first season of Mandalorian, was that episode with the gunslinger.
Yep.
It was really cool because, like, Din communicated with them and worked with them,
yep.
Which was neat. And, like, I remember when I started doing the rewatch for this show, I sent you a message and I was like, I'm 2 episodes in and I don't know what the hate is about.
Yeah.
Like this is actually really good. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah.
And then we got to episode 3.
The streets of Mos Espa.
Yes.
Oh God.
That's when it started that's when I started to have issues.
Okay. Well, yeah, the first 2 episodes were really cool. Again, you've got Fett and Fennec Shan doing stuff as the new Hutts kind of thing because he takes over Jabba's palace.
The new Daimyo is what they call it.
Yeah, the new Daimyo. Yep.
Daimyo, yeah, you're right.
Yep. And but yeah, so all right, get into your problems with chapter 3.
Okay, what I love, like, I think, first of all, what I liked about the show was the whole reason I had that whole big explanation about the history of Boba Fett and the other characters was because I like the concept of the show. The idea that Boba Fett has learned, he has a line with Fennec Shan, like, aren't you tired of working for morons? Aren't you tired of looking for stupid people that just throw you off to die? Yep. He wants to do things differently. His experience with the Tusken Raiders changed him. And it's really fascinating because this will come up with the Mandalorian 2.5 stuff with Luke, is Boba Fett, the show's point is that Boba Fett is stronger with his friends. Like, and again, in Mandalorian season 3, Mandalorians are stronger together because we can't be subtle about things. We can't let just the actual message of the show go through and let you figure it out by watching the show. We've got to have a line of dialogue that tells you it. But yeah, that idea that he learned to be part of a family, part of a tribe, and that made it, because that's kind of the whole point of the middle point of the show, middle part of the show, including Streets of Mos Espa, is there are the Gamorrean guards that stayed loyal to Bib Fortuna, and he forgives them, and they're loyal to him. There's the Wookiee that's hired to kill him, and he lets him live, and he becomes an ally. And then there's the terrible Scooty Puff Jr. gang. But all these potential enemies, he makes allies, and I love that. I love the idea of that. The show starts to fall apart in the execution, and one of that episode I really hate, and I know everybody hates on the gang, the mods.
Yeah.
But everything about them is stupid and wrong. Like they're a gang for Coruscant. They're not a gang for Tatooine. They've got their beautiful, pristine little speeders in their little Power Ranger colors. Like no other vehicle on Tatooine looks like that. Like because the whole reason they have dewbacks in the movie is because the Empire didn't want to use vehicles because Anakin's right. Sand is coarse and irritating, gets everywhere. It is murder on mechanics.
Yep.
And these guys are walking around with exposed. Like there's a line when Fenrir gets her stomach done, but her bionic stomach. Boba Fett's like, "Aren't you going to cover that up?" And he's like, "Cover up all this beautiful technology?" It's like, yeah, so sand doesn't get in it and wreck it.
Exactly.
Like, it's dumb. And then all the mods except for the Joan Jett girl are all dressed real fancy. And I think it's also kind of a play on, because there was like a gang or something in the 60s called the Mods. There were the Mods and the Punks. Maybe it was the 80s. I'm old. But there were the Mods and the Punks. The Mods were modern. But they had like this cool dress. And they look cool, but they're for Coruscant. They're not for Tatooine. They're not for a hard-bitten desert planet where sand is everywhere. Yeah, all the other technology is sandblasted and falling apart and like they don't fit. No. And yes, the fact that they drive these weird little Vespas and Power Ranger colors doesn't look. There's that one overhead shot that looks terrible because they've got the Power Ranger colors coming in, and it looks dumb, and they're inappropriate, and that's why I hate them. I don't hate them because they're run by a girl boss. I hate them because they don't fit anything, and then the logic of the exposed cybernetics is stupid.
Yeah,
and then
I like them as far as being backup for Boba.
Well, like I said, I like the idea of him including former enemies or and antagonistic characters as part of his crew, but just the actual gang is terrible.
Yeah. It's really. So I took a bunch of notes per episode here, and the way I take notes is I just do bullet points, and I just do one simple thing. Like, let's see here, and I know this. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, can I get my other point? Sure. There are two things there are three things that happen in that episode, which is why I hate it. The other thing is that's the first one with the heavy celebrity cameos. Yeah, that's the one with Stephen Root, who is what's his name from Office Space?
Milton
from Office Space. He's been in a lot of things. Like if he was in news radio, he's on King of the Hill. He's Bill on King of the Hill. He's a well-known comedic actor, and he's playing a semi-serious role. And it's distracting. It's like, hey, that's Stephen Root. And then they have Danny Trejo because that episode was directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
But it's like the whole time I'm like, well, that's Danny Trejo. Like that's Machete. That's not the Rancor guy. That's Machete.
He's the Rancor guy now.
But it's distracting to me. There's a reason Lucas didn't really use big name people in his movies because it's just. I mean, I know Samuel L. Jackson, but that was in the prequels.
Yeah, we're talking about the original. Yeah, because all of the. Yeah.
Someone's gonna go, well, Alec Guinness was a legend, and it's like, yes, and he was a main character in a supporting role. Peter Cushing was a legend. He was a main character in a supporting role. But just a random cameo of I remember when Attack of the Clones came out, and I forget which boy band it is. It's like I can't remember. It was like the New Kids or the other band that's like the new kid. There were two boy band people who were in Attack of the Clones during the big sequence with the Jedi.
Okay.
The guys that throw Anakin and Obi-Wan lightsabers.
Right.
There's like two random Jedi, and they're from some boy band of the 90s or whatever.
Oh, so it's either Backstreet Boys or NSYNC.
Backstreet Boys are NSYNC, and like fans lost their like they complain about like fans nowadays. Fans lost their mind about that. They were bitter and angry, and I didn't. They at least they like didn't look. Maybe because I didn't know those bands, I didn't care. Like
right.
it was two young dudes with beards. But like I know who Stephen Root is, and I know who Danny Trejo is, and when we get to Mandalorian, I know who those people are. Well, almost all those people are. It's distracting and it's annoying, and it's like. So that was the other thing I really hated, and then the third thing I hated is this episode begins the series habit of introducing a concept and then immediately abandoning that concept, because the whole thing is his initial antagonists are the Hutts, the twins, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
then all of a sudden in episode 3, they're like, yeah, we're going back to Nal Hutta. We don't care anymore. What? So now it's the mayor, and then the mayor's a non-factor, and then it's the Pikes, and there was a Pikes all along. They were Agatha all along. But
exactly.
They keep introducing things and then just going, yeah, whatever. Like they don't do anything with what they have. They don't play with their toys. They just put them out there. Their Hutts being and it drove me crazy because there's a wonderful little detail that like made my fanboy so happy, my inner fanboy so happy with the Hutts, because the one guy's patting himself off with something, right?
Yep.
You remember that? He's like drying his sweat off with like a little rabbit creature.
Right.
Those are hoojibs, and those are from the comics.
Wow.
And it's just a little detail. The old Marvel comics.
Yep.
They're telepathic rabbit creatures. And
wow.
I was just like, oh my god, they're hoojibs and they're in official Star Wars, and I was so happy that my brain didn't go. You realize that they're just these guys are farting off the Nal Hutta, and this whole thing that was introduced, and quite a bit was made of it, is now ignored. I mean, that's why the Wookiee's there, because he was hired by the Hutts. And then he fails, and they're like, well, we're not going to bother anymore. And it's also weird, because I always thought that Jabba was part of the Hutt. I thought it was a Hutt cartel.
Right.
I didn't know it was just a cartel that like anybody could be the daimyo of, which was weird.
Yeah.
Right. You go on the nose. I've rambled long enough.
So we have as uncredited Jedi Knight Joey Fatone, and Joey Fatone was from NSYNC.
Okay, so it was NSYNC.
Yep. So that's
two of them, though. There were two of them. So
yeah,
it was another NSYNCer, I guess.
I've scrolled so far down the IMDb credit list.
They were both in the same band. I remember that. So
yeah, that's fine. Whatever, it is what it is.
Like I said, I noped out on the whole boy band thing.
So I know they're the Sand People, not the Sand People. Yes. Not the Tuskens, the mini guys, the little guys.
Jawas.
Who
apparently
how the fuck did I forget the name? God,
I don't know, man. Well, like whatever.
My brain's about to break. So when I first saw the Jawas in episode 1 of this series, my first thought was Wootini, but that's from Spaceballs.
Well, Utini is the Jawa thing.
Yeah. But
that's because they had to do that because that explains where Cobb Vance got his armor.
Yeah. I love all the Tusken Raiders stuff. I kind of like Fett's dream sequences of how he escaped the pit, but I like that explanation. That's fine. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, the first 2 episodes were generally pretty good.
Yep. When we get down to episode 3, I have 5 notes. I kind of like the Camino flashback because honestly, Camino is one of my favorite planets in Star Wars, just because it's nothing but water for the most part, and you have to live under the sea. Hey, look, it's Little Mermaid in Star Wars.
They live over the sea.
Over the sea, whatever. And then I wasn't sure about Chrysanthemum. And because I've seen, the only thing I've ever seen of him is like the Funko Pops that they've made of him. And then I watched this and I'm like, okay, he's my second favorite Wookiee now at this point. Yeah, I don't know. See, the 3rd episode kind of moved the story along. And then the 4th one, we get kind of get Fennec Shan's origin, a little bit of it anyway.
What? When?
in the beginning.
She was established as an Imperial.
Yeah.
I don't remember her story being really expounded on. Apparently, she was in Bad Batch or Rebels. She was in Bad Batch. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. We'll get to that at some point. But I just episode 4. I love the action, and I thought that was really great. But it seemed like it was, and this isn't a bad thing, but it seemed like episode 4 was the longest one. And I know that the average time of these things is like 35, 49 minutes. They're all under an hour. But I like that, and I don't know. As I went along, so the first, and I'm doing a split here, folks, because the first 4 episodes are their own thing. Like, if they want, and I'm glad they didn't do this, but if they did this way, first 4 was one season, and the other 3, maybe include a 4th episode, was another season, that would have been fine to me. But it's fine the way it is. It doesn't matter to me. But I feel like the first 4 episodes stand on their own, and we learn so much about Boba Fett. We learn about his journey, about, like we said, how he got out of the pit, and we learn about how he is learning with the Tusken Raiders, and he's helping them, and his character is changing, and it's growing, and his character growth is great. And again, I'm saying positive things about Boba Fett. I'm not saying, that, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. But this is what I needed to actually come around to that character. I needed more with that character.
That's interesting because as a long-termer, the character obviously is changing. Like, you're watching him change into a new character.
Mm-hmm. Which is a good thing.
Yeah, no. That's presumably the premise of the show, is that the old Boba Fett was not working because he got knocked into a pit by a stick.
Yeah.
And then the new Boba Fett runs Tatooine. So,
Yeah. What other notes or anything else you want to say on the first 4 episodes?
I got real frustrated. I remember when I watched it the first time, I thought that the guy who worked for the mayor, the Alan Tudyk knockoff guy, I thought he was going to be more important because they kept coming back to him and making a big deal out of him. And then that's where they have the Scooty Puff Jr. chase where he crashes the slow speed Scooty Puff Jr. chase where he crashes his speeder. In my head, I had my own. I knew where it was going to go, and it was way more interesting because the Twi'leks had always been sort of. I don't know what the term I'm allowed to use in 2024 is. They were big on involuntary servitude for the Twi'leks. I thought maybe this whole thing was a scheme on his part to get revenge on everybody and kind of come out on top. But no, he was just a weird scheming guy who doesn't do or accomplish anything once he gets captured. The mayor disappears after he gets captured. He shows up in the Pike's tent, but yeah, it's just the whole thing with Jennifer Beals drove me crazy because I kept thinking they were gonna she was gonna be like Miss Kitty from Gunsmoke. Yeah. The Boba Fett Sheriff Marshall, I think his name is Marshall Dillon. But no, they didn't do anything with her. That was a whole interesting concept of the Oasis and her character. And I thought they were going to, and eventually they my thing is by the 4th episode, I thought my mind originally was flooded with where they could go with this. And I think the problem I have rewatching it is the first 2 episodes I really enjoyed because I still think they're solid. But once the actual main plot gets going, I know where it's going. So now I feel like my time is being wasted. You know what I mean? I know this character doesn't go anywhere. I know this character doesn't go. I know nothing comes of this. Yeah. So it's blah. Then we get to the return of the Mandalorian.
Yup.
So I want to preface this. This was one of the worst days I had that year. Okay. I was woken up at 3 a.m. because my smoke detector in my bedroom broke. And I was going off.
Right.
So I had this mid-morning, oh my God, is my house on fire? Yeah. And it was just this thing was broken. I had a massive migraine because of that. I felt miserable. And then I sat down to watch Book of Boba Fett. And just that episode made me so happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So 5, 6, and 7 are essentially
7 is its own thing.
7 is its own thing, but episode 7 is like 5 and 6 are specifically Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, there's some stuff. There was more stuff on Tatooine than I thought there was, and I remember there being.
Right. But 7 is kind of like 5 and 6.
Those storylines.
Yeah. It's 5 and 6 are the hey,
Mandalorian
look,
2.5. Everyone says Mandalorian 2.5.
Right, exactly. Yeah, 5 and 6 are like the preparation to what 7 was, with everybody coming together and fighting and beating the bad guys and all that. But episode 5, oh man, just
from the opening, like he goes into the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And he confronts the Klatooinian guy, and he says the line, "You can come with me cold, or you can come with me warm." Oh. And I screwed that up completely, but it was, and then that ring war, like, I mentioned the new series. I can't remember what it's called, even like Runaways or whatever, or the one with the kids, and you see this like Steven Spielberg suburb cul-de-sac, and it's just like I could look out my window and see that.
Yeah.
But in this episode, we had a ring world, and it was so cool and so different than anything I'd seen in a Star Wars show or in any. I've never seen that in a Star Trek show. I've never seen that in Battlestar Galactica. Yep. Like I haven't read the Larry Niven Ringworld series, but like just it was cool. It was unique. It was something fascinating. Like I just love that I love that episode up until he goes to see the armorer. And then I was like, oh, it's the Darksaber crap.
Let's see, I like the Darksaber.
I hate the Darksaber.
Well, I'm sure you're happy it's gone now. But
I forgot that happened, but I was happy sort of happy that was like that's like, again, that's another thing that I thought I have an issue with these two shows is lore. Mm-hmm. Like Lucas never really wasted time on that. He'd drop a name, the Spice Mines of Kessel, the Clone Wars, the Kessel Run, this, that. He would never but Filoni and Favreau have to explain, like, we've got to have all the explanation and the lore, and the person who wields the Darksaber is the Master of Mandalore, and just tell the story. Don't tell us your little D&D backstory that you've gotten written out in your little composition notebook. Like, just have people do cool. Star Wars is about action, faster, more intense.
Yes, but it is also about story. Like I've already said in this episode, my general statement, I don't care about Boba Fett until you show me a story where he gets more developed and I get to see more of that character. Okay?
That's a completely fair. I mean, I think the one thing is you kind of go in a little more immediately judgmental, where I'm like, I'm open to things, but I expect to be like, I go into it not going, why do I care about you? I go into it like, okay, now's your chance to make me care about you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, why do I care about Boba Fett? And I'm like, well, make me, just let me see why I want to care about Boba Fett. Yeah. Or, or Andor, or any of these characters. Like, well, to be fair, I went into Andor already liking that character. But like, you know what I mean? Like, because we talk about movies that like we haven't seen before, like John Wick, right?
Right.
Because that character had not existed before that movie.
Right.
And your attitude tends to be, well, I don't know who this guy is. What do I care?
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Yeah, I'm going to surprise you with this. I've got another buddy of mine, the actual person that turned me on to John Wick, where he told me about how it's basically, that first movie is basically like 1 day or 2 days, or it's a whole timeline. Like, I went into John Wick cold, and I fucking loved it. I love those. I haven't watched the fourth one yet, but I love those movies.
But the important one is the first one, because that's what we're talking about. Like what I'm saying is like you got to give. I'm willing to give them a chance to win me over with the story, as opposed to, well,
I am in certain parts.
Yeah, but you keep this is becoming a running theme of, why should I care about this guy? It's like,
well, right.
That's the point of the show. That's the point of the movie. Is they're going to try to make a good one. Will try to make you care about them, even though you don't know who they are, and that's even better. Because if you go into it already having expectations of who this person is, then they got to work with those. You know what I mean? Like then they got to like do double the juggling. Like going in blank is better. Like not expecting anything is better than, because like, with the Indiana Jones movie, you go into that and you go, okay, well, I have expectations of Indiana Jones, and then they screwed it up and made him a feeble old man. We're like, this is not what I want from Indiana Jones. Like you go into another movie, a John Wick movie, and you don't know who he is. You're like, oh, this dude, they messed with his dog.
Yep.
Fuck him.
Yep, exactly.
Fuck him.
But I like the armor as a character. I think she's cool. I like the Darksaber stuff
I like the armorer, but I hate the Darksaber.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying you don't have to.
I know. I want to be on record as pro armorer. I generally liked her character.
Yeah, absolutely. I like so what I like about the Darksaber is not what everything that surrounds it. I like the sword itself. That's what I mean when I say I like the Darksaber. I like the way the sword looks. I think it's cool. It's the first black blade sword we've had in Star Wars, I'm pretty sure, if I'm incorrect in saying that.
Yes, I think you are correct.
People can correct me if I'm wrong.
As far as I know, you're correct.
Okay. I love that weapon. Specifically, that is cool to me. That's Mando has blasters. He has his whatever the big giant rifle is, and he's got his jetpack, and that's all cool. I like Din and whatever else, but once they introduced that Darksaber thing, I'm like, ooh, I like that sword. Didn't
you remember that because that was introduced in Clone Wars, wasn't it? Isn't it because the big Mandalorian guy, right? The big heavy guy, like his ancestor was the skeevy dude who was plotting on Mandalorian. Because I remember seeing those episodes, but I mean I wasn't really paying a lot of attention back then, and it was like, Jesus Christ, it was over a decade ago.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, the beginning of the pandemic, when the pandemic started, I went and I binged as much Clone Wars as there was. When Disney Plus started, when Disney Plus first came online, my first thing was, hey, look, finally, I can actually watch all this Star Wars cartoon stuff that I missed because I don't like paying attention to Cartoon Network's crappy schedule when they wouldn't show the show on Friday nights.
I will never argue with you against Cartoon Network being garbage.
I mean,
they have good shows, but the way they treat them like that.
That's the problem with Cartoon Network. It's the way they handle the shows. It's not that they don't have
always
good
say shows. That's where good cartoons go to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because the way they screwed over Justice League.
Yeah, poor Justice League. But yeah, I like the Darksaber as a weapon. I like Mando versus Paz. I like Pedro versus Favreau. That's amazing. I love that. Well, was John even in that suit? I don't know if he was. I
assume so.
I don't know.
I mean, he's kind of husky.
Yeah.
To be fair, we are both gentlemen of some size, but I think he was. Come on, man! I think Favreau is a legitimate Star Wars fan. Yeah. If you what I'm saying is, if you were part of the show, wouldn't you be in the suit? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
As opposed to Robert Downey Jr., who's a millionaire actor, is like, yeah, just put the tennis balls on me. Be like, no, man, I want the Mandalorian suit, man. I want I want to wear the gear. I want that stuff.
Yeah.
I think he was in the suit. He didn't direct that episode anyway, so.
No, he didn't.
Bryce Dallas Howard did, and she did a really good job.
Oh, man, yeah.
I love one of the better Mandalorian directors, even though that was Boba Fett.
Yeah, well, yeah, but again, it was Mando 2.5. But I love that episode. And then the next one where you have, Luke and all that. How do you feel about young Luke? How do you feel about who I'm trying to see who the actor is, but because that's not Mark Hamill's voice. It's not like they.
Isn't it?
Is it?
I thought it was Hamill's voice, but because I remember there's a story about when they did the scene in the end of Mandalorian season 2, there was a guy on YouTube who went back and redid the effects and did them better, and they hired him to do that episode.
Right.
I'm fine with it. First of all, my eyesight's terrible,
I'm legally blind, so we're in the same boat, kind of.
So I don't really notice really bad. Things have to be really bad for me to notice it.
Right.
And also I'm a little more forgiving about stuff. But I love that episode up until a point, and then I hate that episode.
Okay. Why do you tell me what you love about it?
I love the stuff with Luke and Grogu, and the sense of. He trained with Yoda, and now he's training a little baby Yoda, and he's kind of doing the same things, and he's passing on his wisdom. And weirdly, Grogu's powers got nerfed. Remember when he was lifting the damn rhinoceros beast?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he can't even lift a frog, and I wish there had been more with Ahsoka and Luke.
Yeah.
Like that. Speaking of wasted potential, it's like you're someone who knew my father when he was still a good man.
Oh God, yeah, that scene with them.
And,
Just
and
like
the thing
your
Luke
father,
says, "Will I see you again?" Which is exactly what Anakin said.
Yep.
Like that was just like I wish there had been more of that. Also, why I didn't like. Well, even though I love the first part, I didn't like the robots building the little hut place because it's like that should have been Luke and Grogu, using the Force to do that. Why you need a bunch of little cheap dollar store wind-up robots, which is what they look like.
Yeah.
I mean, they look. The CGI was good, but I mean, the actual design looks like a cheap dollar store wind-up, spider robot or something, bug robot. It's just like
good.
And you can see. Apparently, you can see that dome thing in Force Awakens when they have the flashback to the Academy burning down, which I will look for when we get there. But I've people have done like pictures online and supposedly it is the Academy that gets burned down by Kylo Ren and his buddies.
Yeah. So I'm looking at IMDb and I'm looking for like Luke Skywalker person that was like how they have for voice acting they'll have this what's the perfect example Deadpool friggin' Lady Deadpool. It's what's her nuts? It's no. It's
I thought it was Blake Lively. It's his wife.
Yeah. It's Blake Lively. Yeah. No. It's Blake Lively as the voice of Lady Deadpool, but it's an unnamed stunt woman that's actually in the suit. She's not in that suit.
Okay.
Because we've done on the live YouTube show that I do, we've already done a whole Deadpool and Wolverine review. But that's my point. Like usually, if the credits are separate, like if you have somebody doing the voice and somebody that's actually in the thing, IMDb will show you that. And so far, looking through this entire cast list for this episode, it only lists Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. So again, CGI, fine. I don't care. Whatever. It's cool. I love seeing the two of them there. I love seeing him and Ahsoka together because, like you already said, obviously she was the apprentice to his father and all of that, and that is cool. And ladies and gentlemen, we've said this before on these episodes, we will be doing cartoon reviews of the cartoon stuff at some point, most likely next year. But yeah, no. But yeah, episode 5 and 6, like, wow. Holy crap.
I like I said, I loved it. It was magical. It was what I wanted from Jedi stuff. Because, like I said, I don't like the lore, and I think the lore started with the prequels. Because suddenly the Force wasn't this kind of mystic magic that ties us all together. It were these bugs in your system. And he sort of backtracked that, and I think Rogue One. I had the whole thing about the Force and Jedis where, like, the Force doesn't belong to the Jedi. Like, they act like it does, but it doesn't. Like, because it's created by all living things. It belongs to all living things.
Except Moff Gideon. We'll get there.
Even Moff Gideon. But that's the thing is, like, there are, people that are jealous and greedy and want more. I mean, that's what the Sith was. They wanted more power. Anyway, like, up until the point when they're in the little hut and Luke makes Grogu make the choice.
Yeah.
That lost me because that is Luke recreating the old Jedi Order.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that the whole point of the prequels was that the Jedi had lost their way. Because Lucas has said, Lucas is on record, Anakin's destiny, Anakin's prophecy was to wipe out both the Jedi and the Sith. To bring balance to the Force. And, like, why? Why does he need to wipe out? Like, this is the annoying thing about bad writing, is we never hear the prophecy, and we never have it explained why the Jedi have to be wiped out. I mean, you can kind of tell that there's one line in Attack of the Clones that Yoda has about, these young Jedi these days, they're problems. But, like, you never really, and it played against the fan expectations going into that movie, because we thought the Jedi were good. And suddenly, like, wait, they need to be like, and the movies themselves never really make it clear that the Jedi do need to be. That's one thing the Acolyte does, is it makes it clear the Jedi need to be wiped off the face of the galaxy because they're creepy little creepazoids.
Yep.
But like, it's Luke making the mistakes of the past as opposed to like, and the irony is the whole point of the show is that Boba Fett is stronger because he has his clan, because he has his tribe.
Yeah.
And Luke is saying to Grogu, you cannot have attachments.
Yeah.
Luke beat Darth Vader by being attached to his sister. It is only when Vader threatens his sister that Luke beats Vader, has the strength to beat him. Like, it just betrays a fundamental ignorance of everything Star Wars. That Luke makes Grogu make that choice. And it just, I hate it. It's like, I'm glad that the Academy burned down because Luke was going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And Grogu chose wisely. And I also hate that. I hated it at the time because even though obviously I love Grogu, I think he's a great character, I have a lot of fun with him, his story was told. As much as I enjoyed watching Luke and Grogu together, like, I didn't want Grogu back with Din. I wanted Din to go on and have his adventures. And like now, and of course, like, but Grogu is like the only thing that sells toys for Disney at this point.
True.
So, and I'm not even sure he sells toys anymore. So, like, they had to bring him back. And I don't know if that was, I really feel like that wasn't a story choice. That wasn't a Favreau choice. That was a Disney, hey, we sell a lot of Grogu dolls choice. So just in that sense, I just, that is really for me when the Star Wars saga turns for the bad. Like, if we're doing it chronologically in terms of storytelling, that is when everything falls apart. Like, there were issues before that with bad storytelling, but there were issues all along. There have been issues with bad storytelling.
There's always bad storytelling.
Conceptually, like, when it falls apart.
Did you say conceptually?
Conceptually.
Okay, that's not what I heard.
I may have overemphasized the first word, but I wasn't.
I was gonna say.
Be weird.
That's. Oh crap! Wow, that's not what I heard. But okay, sure. Conceptually,
look, man.
No.
I warned you before we started. I was tired. And this is
no. It's fine.
Go places.
It's fine. I'm fine. I just wanted to make sure I heard.
I mean, if I want to be weird and creepy and sexual, you'll know. You'll know, my friend.
I'm sure. So episode 7.
No.
And I keep, every time I see her name, I have to click on it because I'm like, where the hell? Flashdance.
Yeah.
Like, oh, right. Flashdance. I haven't seen that movie since probably 1993.
Oh.
I need to rewatch that.
I don't even know if it's been that. I don't know if it's been that recently for me. I mean, I probably saw it on video because I didn't see it in the theaters, but I probably saw it on video in the 80s sometime on like HBO or Showtime.
Yeah, I know. I know. I saw it as a kid in the 80s, but
I had the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack is
Everybody had the soundtrack.
Yep. So we have so much here in episode 7. We've got R2-D2, we've got Grogu, we've got Din, we've got the Pikes, we've got...
The Pikes, by the way, showed up in Solo. Do you remember that? They reused the Pikes.
Yep. And what I love about, I think is it specifically episode 7 or is it episode 6? Whenever he shows up, oh my God, live action Cad Bane.
I think it was. It was episode 6 because he shows up before the finale.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, he does. I'm trying to see. Yeah, he shows up in it. Yeah, Cod. Wow.
Cod. See, then you're getting creepy and weird.
Well, I mean, he's not a codfish. It's not Peter Pan over here. Cad Bane arrives on behalf of the Pikes. So that was episode 6. When I first saw him, I'm like, okay, before you even speak, who are you? Because sometimes they don't do it right. And
they got Corey Burton, yeah.
They did it right. So here's the thing with this is that, where is it?
Of course they did it right. He's one of Filoni's pets.
No,
Yes, he is. He's a Filoni thing. He and Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised they, quote, killed him, end quote. I mean, he only got stabbed, so.
Right.
He's completely disintegrated, so he can come back. Well, and we all know that, like, the stomach is easily replaced with a robot stomach.
Yeah, for Fennec. So Corey Burton is the voice of Cad Bane. The physical Bane is physically portrayed by Dorian Kinji?
Sure, why not?
K-I-N-G-I. I
think Kenji is...
Yeah, Kinji. He looks amazing, and it's Corey Burton. End of story. It's Cad Bane, the way Cad Bane should be. And I absolutely loved every second of him on screen.
See, my thing is I was like, oh, it's a Filoni thing.
Yeah, you don't like the Filoni things, but
I like it well enough, but like he's doing it's like watching The Simpsons nowadays where there's only like so many characters, you know what I mean? Like back in the day they introduced new characters. It's like I like the first couple of seasons of Clone Wars. I think Filoni has talent, but I also think he's locked into his things. You know, I think maybe you get older, like it could have been a new bounty hunter. It could have been a different character. It had to be one of his characters. Like Ahsoka should have died like 9 times over by this point. It's ridiculous the level of waifu plot armor that she has. I mean, I kind of like that scene. Watching it again, I was like, oh no, Deputy Stupid. I didn't really. I don't know how much I was paying attention the first time or remember, but like Deputy Stupid got the poor Marshall shot, man. Because he was so busy. What's the guy's name? The guy who had the armor and lost it. We mentioned it earlier in the show.
Oh God,
I can't remember. They're finally doing a figure of him.
It's not Cobb Vanth.
Cobb Vanth, right?
Yeah.
And Cad Bane's like, you need your armor, but like he's constantly like paying attention to Deputy Stupid. He's constantly looking over to Deputy Stupid, who's going to get himself killed. And boy, does he get himself killed. Like Cad Bane shoots him once and shoots Deputy Stupid like 9 times.
Yeah.
But that's why he gets shot, is because he's constantly being distracted by the deputy who's antagonizing this clearly dangerous character.
Right.
And then earlier he'd antagonized the Din because he's stupid. And he paid for that. But that also rallied the town to help. So that was, one of those things where the bad guys kind of bring their own defeat upon them. Yep. Although, like, the townfolk really didn't do much.
No, the townfolk didn't do much. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Episode 7.
Yeah, episode 7. Episode 7. Let's see here. What do I have written down? I mean, for me, it's Cad Bane, enough said, episode over, Luke and Ahsoka. I like the end battle. The end battle was awesome. And then that sort of cliffhanger. Well, then, that's a thing.
Which cliffhanger are you talking about? Like
at the very end. Yeah.
Cobb getting his robot stomach?
Yep.
His uncovered robot stomach in a harsh desert environment?
Yep.
That's a good idea. No, the end battle was fun. I like those like super mega destroyer droids. I thought that was a neat callback. I like that Fenric Shan kind of unloaded on the pikes at the end. Like she disappears and you're like, he's like, go get the head of the organization, and then she does her thing. I mean, we got the reunion of Grogu and Mando. I like that Grogu makes the angry. You get the little King Kong scene with the Rancor.
Yeah.
And in the end credits, they had the production art. He's holding like a Twilight woman.
Right.
Like Kong, like with Fay Ray.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out is when they blew up the Oasis, because this was very important to me, hugely important to me, more important than almost anything else in this entire show.
Okay.
I studied this because it made me so angry the first time. I made sure Max Rebo was not on screen at any point in that sequence. So he survived that. I was like, they did not just blow up my boy Max Rebo.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Draper is the biggest Max Rebo fan you will ever meet.
Man. I got all the figures. I got the Beanie Buddies. I got a T-shirt. I do love characters that are sort of borderline goofy, but still kind of almost work.
Yeah. Max Rebo has always been the band guy. He's been. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there were 2 band guys because there was the band from the first film, and then there was Max Rebo and Sice Noodles and Drippy McCool, and then they expanded it to the stupid Then they had the horn section and the drum guys and the Joe Yowza, and special edition poo. Special edition bad. We know, like. But the only reason that I'm kind of excited for what the hell is that new show called with the kids?
Oh God, for Star Wars?
Yeah, like Star Wars Far From Home, Star Wars Babies. All I know is there's a little baby Max Rebo in that, and I love him. Like, I will watch that show for the baby Max Rebo alone.
Is it supposed to be a show or a movie?
It's a show. It's a TV show. You've seen the trailer, haven't you? I think you sent me the trailer.
I probably
It has oh God, what's his name? I'm old, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, Young Jedi Adventures? No, that can't be it.
No, it has the guy from AI, and Chris Rock made a joke about how he was in everything.
Exactly.
He plays a Jedi because like every Jedi in the galaxy, but like 2 got killed during the Purge, apparently.
I don't know, dude.
Oh my God!
Off the top of my head.
You talk for a while.
Okay, I'll talk for a while. Book of Boba Fett. At the end of it, folks, I was fine with it. I'm okay. Like I said before,
Skeleton Crew.
Repeat that.
Skeleton Crew.
Oh, Skeleton.
Jude Law is
Yes.
Nawood. Jude Law was the guy I was thinking of.
Skeleton Crew.
And it's got a little baby Max Rebo. I love him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Neil or something.
All right. Boba Fett. Did the show keep your interest without? Yes, past the 4th episode. Are you itching to watch the next season now? I hope there isn't another season of this show.
There won't be.
We need another
Tamir
one.
Morrison apparently is bitter as fudge about that. So.
Yeah, probably. Would you recommend this show to people? If you want to see Mando, sure. Watch episodes 5 and 6.
I had a friend who got into Mandalorian really late, and I said, look, if you're going to watch season 3, you've got to watch Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
Because you won't make sense if you don't. So, yes, technically I would recommend it if you want to see season 3. Now, the question is, do you want to see season 3 of Mandalorian? So.
Well, we'll see that as soon as the ad break happens, but that hasn't happened yet, so we'll do that in a minute. The Geek Meter, what are we going to rate this? 0 to 5 with half points. Oh, boy. I'm probably going to give it... The season as a whole, the 7 episodes all together, I will give it a 3.0, which is average. It's not bad, but it's not... The whole of it is not amazing. There are 2 episodes out of the 7 that are simply amazing, and then there's the 7th episode, which is good. Other than that, I don't know.
I think I'm going to go 2.5 because, yes, those 2 episodes are amazing, but they're also disconnected from everything, which is a flaw in the overall story.
Okay.
And I think there is so much wasted potential, which ironically is how I started my discussion about Boba Fett, is untapped potential.
Yeah.
It just, like, the Hutt storyline goes nowhere. The Mayor storyline goes nowhere. It's just...
The Mayor is useless. His advocate dude. His Twi'lek in the green suit dude. The one that is always his talking piece.
Yeah, the Alan Tudyk guy.
Yeah.
Who actually is an Alan Tudyk.
Yeah. He's more interesting and more upfront than the action. I was like, oh, this mayor is going to be a badass. I thought we were going to have some sort of super special cameo or something as like, not saying it was going to be this, but I'm like, ooh, maybe it would be, not that it would ever be Lando, but I'm like, ooh, maybe it'll be Billy D. Williams as Lando. Not that it was ever going to be that, but I'm saying like someone like that. Like, but then it's just this creature. I'm like,
random Ithorian.
Yeah. I'm like, random dude? No thanks.
I think, and it's weird because if probably 4 out of the 7 episodes I mostly really enjoyed, if not really loved, and then I liked the finale's okay.
Yeah.
Like, but those two episodes, 3 and 4, just, and then part of 7 or part of 6, wreck it for me. And it doesn't come together as a whole, which is frustrating. So yeah, 2.5. I don't think it's as bad as everybody acts like it is or remembers it to be.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of good there, but like it doesn't hold together. It doesn't gel.
Yeah, it doesn't gel because, like I said, it splits into two separate series. Like first 4 episodes, most of the first 4 episodes is Boba Fett escaping, Boba Fett getting the character development that he gets, Boba Fett with the Tuskens, Boba Fett with this, Boba Fett with that. The train sequence, oh my god.
Yeah, that was a great sequence.
Fucking loved it. It was awesome.
Well, I'm always yammering about how they're like, how I want them to be like Westerns. That whole thing was absolutely a Western.
Yeah, it was basically Back to the Future 3 without the flying part of the train. It was the whole damn thing. It was awesome. It was great. Absolutely loved it. But then you get past the 4th episode, and it turns into a completely different show. Because it's not focused. He's there. He's doing stuff, but the focus is on Mando, Grogu, Ahsoka, Luke, and the other characters because they wanted to throw in that stuff. They didn't have enough. They didn't write enough for Boba Fett as a character. That's why they're there. Like, I'm not complaining that the Mando stuff happened and all the stuff that happens in episodes. I'm not complaining. I'm stating my opinion is that the writers of this show didn't have enough or didn't write enough back matter, back story, back whatever, to have a full 7 episodes with just Boba Fett at the center. Because those 5 and 6, where is he? He's off doing other stuff. He's off here. He's off there. And the focus isn't on him. So then, whatever. But it's fine. In the long run, I didn't not like it. I didn't go away with, oh my god, I will never watch that again. Kind of feeling. I didn't any of that. None of that happened for me. But at the same time,
I think I went away with it like going, I don't feel any need to watch it again. Not an angry kind of bitter.
Yeah.
I'll never watch this again. This is garbage. It was more like I don't really need to revisit this. It's not good enough.
Yeah.
And yes, I love your point is perfectly is spot on. Those Mandalorian episodes are great. But it's another show.
Yeah, it's a separate show.
It takes you out of what you were doing.
Yep.
And puts you in another show. And it's like, I can't give your show credit for having great episodes from another series. Yep. You know? Like
it's kind of like, weird. There's a video game that my gal, Chaos, plays that, I don't know if she's still playing it, because I think they already beat it. But it's called It Takes Two. Okay?
She's playing that by herself?
No.
With you?
No, not with. She does online streaming.
Well, but dude, that's a 2-player game.
I know it's a 2-player game, but that's my point. My point here is that what they did with episodes 5 and 6 is a separate show, and what they could have done with Boba Fett to have him in the show is have him as the main side of the character and then have everything else on the other side. That's my point in bringing up It Takes Two, is that it's a split screen view of 2 different players in the game. So they could have had Boba Fett at the center. They just chose not to, and they chose to basically, like we've said, make Mando season 2.5.
Well, supposedly, like Tamir Morrison and I think even
Pedro.
No, the woman who plays Fenric, who's been in everything, and I'm not doing good with names today.
Yeah.
But they both said they didn't realize they were doing Book of Boba Fett. They thought they were doing Mandalorian.
Oh, jeez.
Like they didn't even realize it was their show.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, there was something like that. I don't quote me verbatim, but there was something about like Tamara Morrison was like, I didn't even realize that's what we were doing with my own show.
Wow, that's crazy. All right, folks, we are going to take a quick ad break. Book of Boba Fett, it was okay. I wouldn't say don't watch it if you... I wouldn't not recommend it, but I wouldn't recommend it either because, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it. Like you said, if you want to watch Mando Season 3, yes, you have to watch at least those 2 episodes, but the rest of it, it could be left alone. So we're going to go to a quick podcast ad break, and we're going to come back with Mandalorian Season 3 right after this.
Kid? Yes? Shut up.
Beyond the Night is the GCRN's latest review podcast. We are covering everything in the Knight Rider television universe, from the classic 80s TV series to the 1991 reunion film, Team Knight Rider, and the 2008 relaunch series as well. So join TFG1Mike and Dion the Music Man as they go in-depth and Beyond the Night only on Geekcast Radio Network. You can find Beyond the Night in iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com.
Yes, Michael. Just keep driving.
All right, folks, we are back, and it is time for The Mandalorian Season 3. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, boy. Here we go.
Okay.
I was not expecting a giant... You'll probably tell me what the thing is, but giant...
I don't know what it's called. The giant alligator turtle?
Gator, turtle, crocodile, whatever. I was not expecting that.
I love like that part made me so happy.
Mm-hmm.
I know people criticize it like how did this giant thing sneak up on them? I'm like, I don't care. This is a giant alligator turtle monster.
Yep.
And it makes me happy.
Yep, absolutely. And then obviously the pirates. Okay, pirates.
Okay, the pirates I hate. Like, well, I like the one thing I liked was their ship, their big ship looked like something that Chris Foss would design, and he's an artist. And I know his work. I only really know his work. He did like a lot of book covers, science fiction book covers. And he was part of the crew that they assembled for Jodorowsky's Dune film. Mm-hmm. So it's got that striping, you know?
Yeah.
Like tiger stripes. Yeah, that's kind of. I think it's very reminiscent. I think that was an homage. Star Wars tends to do a lot of little subtle homages to other science fiction properties. I think that's a homage to Chris Foss. My personal theory. But the Pirate King himself looks like Swamp Thing with Easter egg basket grass on him.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yep.
Embarrassing.
Yep.
And the pirates are stupid. The pirates are stupid. They're like, we want to drink at our old bar. And Grief Karga's like, just come to my office. I got the good stuff. It's like,
exactly.
No, we're going to drink at this school. And it's like, but they don't have any booze there because they're a school now, stupid.
Yeah, it's a school now. They changed the building. Even if you got what you wanted,
there wouldn't be booze.
Yep.
And then they all get killed because they're idiots, which is for the best, I suppose. But just, like, that set a bad tone for the rest of the series, like the rest of the season.
I love his line, though, because it's kind of like if Han Solo was standing next to Din and Grogu, where he's like, kid, never trust a pirate. I first thought of Han when he said that. And the first episode ends on the Mandalorian castle.
Lore.
Yeah, lore. And we go back to Pele Mato on Tatooine in episode 2 of season 3, The Mines of Mandalore. Oh boy.
And it's R5D4 from the movie. You remember him.
R5D4.
Who's also a rebel hero, it turns out.
I don't know if I still have it, I might have sold it by now, but I had a 2-pack Funko Pops of R2D2 and R5D4. It was kind of cool seeing them side by side. But yeah, Din basically his quest is he has to become a Mandalorian again, because he's, he took his helmet off. He wasn't supposed to do that, so he's got to go to the living waters, and he comes face to face with a mythosaur.
Well, no, he doesn't. I mean, technically he does, but he's knocked out at the time.
Yeah.
What's her name? Katie Sackhoff does.
Yeah, Thank you. I've been trying to think of that actress's name for like 7 hours as we're recording.
I was a big fan of Battlestar. The Battlestar. Well, I wasn't a huge fan, but I was a fan of the Battlestar Galactica reboot.
Yeah.
She plays Starbuck.
Yep. But all I know is Bo-Katan this, Bo-Katan that, and I completely forgot the actresses, so thank you. But yeah, she goes in, saves him, comes face to face with a mythosaur.
Which is there's all this lore about the mythosaur will return when Mandalore rises again, and well, you're skipping a really important part, which is that what I call a Nothic, which is a D&D monster. Din gets captured by this monster
Yep.
It's like a crab in a cyborg suit.
Mm-hmm.
But so he drops the Darksaber, and then Grogu goes back to God, I can't remember. I can remember the actress's name. I can't remember the character's name. Bo-Katan's palace, which is on another planet. It's on one of the moons.
Yep.
And they come and she grabs the Darksaber and saves Din, and then Din takes the Darksaber back. And at that point, I was like, wait a minute. I thought there was a whole Elder Wand rules where he'd been beaten by the creature, and then she got it and beat. Like, why does he still have the because they got to keep the thing going for another 3 episodes so they can have the big reveal.
Yeah.
And I was both vindicated, but also annoyed that they waited until that later episode to be like, oh, well, he beat me and she beat him, and so she actually has the Darksaber. It's like, where were you back in? I realize you're not doing it in front of all the Mandalorians that you want to get on your side, but like, why wasn't this taken care of like 5 episodes ago?
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's bad writing. It's cheap writing. So yes,
I agree.
He falls in the thing, and Bo-Katan saves him. So the one nice twist I thought was that she's also accepted into the culvert.
Yep.
She's been cleansed in the living waters too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, it's just one of those things where I don't know.
Well, then we get to I looked up the episode name. I forget what it is. It's the
Foundling.
No, not the Foundling.
The Pirate.
Not the Pirate.
Guns for Hire.
It's not Guns for Hire. I think
Spies.
No, it's before Spies.
The Convert.
The Convert.
There you go.
I will tell you, when I did the rewatch for this, I actually fast forwarded through most of that episode. That is where Disney Star Wars died for me.
Yeah.
Because the New Republic is stupid and evil. It was bad enough. Well, it's bad enough later on that we find out that Tim Meadows is in charge of the fleet.
Yeah.
They brought their finest SNL alumni to be in charge of their military operations. It's hard to believe the First Order took over. But like, that made me angry when I saw it the first time. Like, the ending is, it's like, it's supposed to be, she's so clever. She played him like a fiddle, and now she's getting his mind destroyed. And it's like, you know what the setting was when you left the room. Left the weird Imperial, former Imperial soldier in the room with the device. You know what the setting was. And now the setting's been turned up to 11. And even if she turns it back down, what are they going to go? Oh, no. Like, the machine we designed that has the capacity to destroy people's brains malfunctioned. It's just like, you didn't think once that this lady who worked for Moff Gideon, who was this guy Pershing's former employer, might have done something, who was instrumental in getting him to get himself arrested.
Yeah, really.
Just go suck your and it's just the fact that they have that machine at all.
Yeah.
And it's I'm a fan of this old thing called Doc Samson. Not Doc Samson. Doc what's it called? Doc Savage.
Yeah.
Brain fart. And in the early ones, he would take the captured bad guys and he would use a machine to wipe their brains and make them good people. And people were like, well, good guys don't do that. And so he stopped doing that. The writer stopped doing that. But the fact that and they actually have a line, because I remember it specifically, where the calamari guy says, oh no, it's not a mind flayer. We just used the same design for our little gentle mind wiping machine. It's like, but it has mind destroying capabilities. The fact that you have this, I mean, this is when you become an adult and you realize that America had not Guantanamo Bay, but whatever the place was in Iraq. There was that horrible, Abu Ghraib. And it's like suddenly America isn't the good. There's that moment where you realize that America did some really dirty stuff. It still does. Yeah. And you're like, but this isn't the real world. This is space. This is fantasy. These were supposed to be it was good guys versus bad guys. I love that about Andor, that it's dirty. It's a little dirty and but we have a mind control machine, a gentle mind controlling machine that has a brain destroying setting. No, You deserve to die. You're the New Republic deserved to collapse. It's slightly less evil than the Empire, and that's not what Lucas intended. That's not what made Star Wars inspirational. We're aiming for slightly less terrible.
Yeah.
You're aiming for a new start and a better tomorrow, not a slightly less bad tomorrow. And it's interesting. I just had a long conversation last night with someone about our current political thing, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but I mean, our general consensus was there is just it's which terrible future do you choose?
Yeah.
But that's why I need Star Wars, so that I can go somewhere where it's good guys and bad guys, and it's very simple. And even when it get complicated in Andor, it was still relative. It was still clearly the Empire was really bad.
But it was, yeah, exactly. It was a good story.
Yes, but my point is, it was all for nothing.
Yeah,
like that's what breaks my heart is the entire Star Wars saga, according to Mandalorian season 3, was for nothing, because the New Republic has brain-destroying machines that only destroy brains when you turn it up to 11. They're just mind-wiping machines generally.
Yes.
Like, that is what the bad guys do. That is what Doctor Doom does. That is what evil people do. Yep. And you put that in the New Republic, and it's just like you literally destroyed Star Wars. You ruined it. Like, and I know this is a very hyperbolic statement to say, but you ruined it. You stained it in a way that now I'm glad that the stupid new First Order, whatever the hell they're called in the sequel trilogy,
First Order,
the slightly less bad guys destroyed the New Republic because they were evil, and we find out in a later episode that they put the ladies' man in charge of their fleet, so they're stupid too. And it's not just that again, it's another cameo from a known actor. And I don't mean to say that comedians can't play serious roles, but he doesn't play the role seriously.
No.
Like, he plays it goofy. He's having an argument with his stupid astromech. And then he gets played like a fiddle by the same bitch who was just left alone in the control room. She can just do whatever she wants. She's untouchable. And she was in season 2 of Mandalorian. I looked because I remember her. Yeah. So I was like paying attention when I watched it the second time around. She's there. But it's just like, it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes me angry.
Yeah,
we haven't even gotten to Lizzo yet.
No. We haven't even gotten to Lizzo and Jack Black yet. We'll get there. But episode 3, it's weird. I'm going to say more about it in a moment. But season 3, episode 3, favorite thing out of this episode, and after that, it's kind of almost a full stop.
Okay, which one is season 3? Like, my brain's getting a little mushy.
Mando, season 3, episode 3.
Season 3 of what happens in that episode.
It's the doctor. It's the research. Well, you were
okay. That's
yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Pershing.
Dr. Pershing.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't remember it was season 3 or episode 3. Jeez.
Yeah.
You got me doing it now.
Ooh, TIE interceptors. I love the TIE. At first, I thought they were TIE fighters because they have the sound effect that is usually TIE fighter sound effect.
Well, there's TIE sound effects.
Yeah, but I was like, ooh, cool, new. Like, that's the coolest thing to me about the Empire is the ships. Like the
design. The design, yes, is very cool.
Yes. But I remember when I watched season 3 of Mando, and I felt the same way then that I do now. This episode was, like you just said, your whole spiel about the New Republic. This episode was completely useless. They are trying to set up a character or a set of characters to have a story for the New Republic in a show about the Mandalorian. This episode basically is a whole novella of who Pershing is and how his life is and how basically this New Republic is still kind of like the Empire. There are like curfews and this and that and whatever.
There's curfews on those guys because they're former Imperials.
Well, okay, fine, right, they're former Imperials, whatever. But if someone is supposed to be reformed, I don't know, whatever.
I don't know that they're supposed to be reformed per se, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. Another thing I want to point out is there is that bit when they go to the fair or whatever. They go to like they're hanging out and they see the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like the only open land on Coruscant is the top of this mountain. Yeah. That is actually from, like, that whole thing is very Ralph McQuarrie, and it is from pictures, artwork that McQuarrie did. I'll take a picture of it because there's like a book that's like the worlds of Ralph McQuarrie, or the worlds of Star Wars by Ralph McQuarrie, and that plaza is a thing from the book, or from artwork. So, on the one hand, that was kind of cool, but on the other hand, like, it looked more like Coruscant, I will say, than Andor did. But Andor was cooler because, like, those were real locations, and they felt real.
Yeah. Andor was more of a mystery. It was more of a kind of like a whodunit kind of thing. It was.
But I'm talking about the art design of Coruscant.
Right. No. But right. Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the art design here is different because it's a slightly different type of
CGI.
episode.
It's CGI eye candy, and it looks like the McQuarrie art, and that's neat.
Yeah.
But, like, there was something tangible about the Andor sets. They found, like, weird European buildings, and they looked cool, and they looked strange, and they looked like a place where people lived, as opposed to the sort of fantasy candy floss CGI stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing, I guess, yay, next episode, is my final note was, yay, she's redeemed. Because he's redeemed, she's redeemed, everybody's redeemed because they were all in the pool.
They were all in the pool. Everybody went in the pool.
Everybody went in the pool. That's right. Everybody, you get a redemption. You get a redemption. You get a redemption. Yep. Episode 4. Not that episode 4, folks. The other one. I love the action versus the pirates. I think that is super cool. And obviously the pirates get defeated, thank God. But I was not expecting Carson to show up. I was like, yay, Carson! I love that guy. He's cool.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who Carson is.
Carson Teva?
Is he the big alien guy from Rebels?
No, he's the white guy with the beard. The Jedi guy that comes in.
There's a Jedi in that episode?
No, and okay.
Oh,
Jedi.
Oh, the
trooper. Yeah, the Carson Teva. He's the X-wing,
right?
Yeah, he's the X-wing pilot. He's with the New Republic.
I know who that. Okay. Jeez.
Yeah, the guy with the beard.
The guy with the beard. I call him Rebel Columbo. Actually, ironically.
Okay.
Ironically, because he's always showing up and sniffing around.
Yeah, exactly. He's the guy that ends up in the later episode where Mando finally realizes, because we'll get to this. Mando now has an adopted child, where he wants to be more selective in his jobs, and Mando's talking to him.
Part of that. I think he also wanted to wipe out the Empire.
Well, yeah, obviously, but because Carson, I remember shows up. He showed up in Ahsoka.
Yeah, he shows up all over the place. He's constantly showing up.
Yeah, I love that guy. I think he's one of those.
He's the guy that goes to the office and confronts Tim Meadows.
Yeah. So. Yes, that guy.
I got it now. I remember who you're talking about.
Yeah, I love that because there are a lot of X-wing pilots like Biggs, like Wedge, like other characters, Porkins and other people that I've known over the course of my lifetime because of this franchise. And now to me personally, he's the new X-Wing New Republic guy, where he's more so into doing the right thing without having to tell anything to the New Republic. You know what I mean?
I think the one good thing about that scene with Tim Meadows demonstrates is that Carson kind of like keys in on, there's something going on here. Like we're gonna have to take care of this stuff on our own. We can't rely on Central Command.
Yeah, very much so. I love that character.
He's okay. I mean, he's not my favorite.
He's not my least favorite.
I thought you were going to be like, who's Zeb? Zeb or Zev? I thought you were going to be excited about him because he's live action.
Yeah, he's live action version of the Yep. Zeb is cool. I like Zeb. No help for grief, and then here's your help. So there's that.
I liked Carson in this episode. I like that he shows up at the culvert and he's like, look, I'm not. You guys are going to move anyway, but I'm not going to tell anybody that you're here.
Yeah, exactly.
That was kind of cool. That was a neat little bit. I don't dislike the character. I'm just like, yeah, okay, he's okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay.
He's okay. I don't know. Just like there were characters that just came. One of my issues with the first couple of seasons, and again this season, is like I was never in love with Navarro.
Right.
And they just kept coming back to Navarro, and it's like, why do you keep coming back to this place?
And now they're there permanently because the Mandalorian.
Now he's got a house. There's a reason for him to come there permanently.
Well, right, but like the whole point is Mandalore is kind of like persona non grata.
Well,
and
again, I wanted a dude who was traveling from planet to planet and did stuff and didn't just keep going back to the same planet.
Yeah, I think it was you that said this, and if it was you, I'm glad I got the credit right. If it wasn't you, to whoever it was, I'm sorry. Mando season 1 and 2 were space adventures in space with Mando, with Grogu, with
westerns.
Right, they were space westerns, right, specifically. And then season 3 basically puts him in either Cosby Show territory or Family Ties territory, where
really?
let me finish.
Right.
Where they bring in the rest, like seasons 1 and 2. It was kind of like Mando on his own, like we have hints of the Empire. We have various appearances of like Moff Gideon, or we have hints of the Jedi. They're not directly there. Season 3, it's like, let's throw all the Star Wars stuff into this show now.
Well, that's what I said about lore. It's all about like you need to have seen Rebels to know what happened, or not Rebels. Was it Rebels or was it Clone Wars? Just know what happened to Mandalore.
Yeah, it's one of the two. I forget.
But it's lore. It's this happened and that happened. You need to know the backstory and the lore, and you know the name of the show is Mandalorian. It's not Din Djarin, so maybe it's Bo-Katan story. There was a lot of angry YouTuber pushback about that. That it was suddenly Bo-Katan story, and like I don't know, man. Like all I know is I love Grief Karga's little robots that carried his cape around. I love that little detail that he had these little robots to keep the hem of his cape from touching the ground. Yeah. Like I said, like that one, the episode with Pershing,
it just kind of.
I had a bad attitude for the rest of the season. The first time I watched it, and then this time around I'm kind of like, let's just get through it. This time around I was more like, oh, more lore, more I don't
mind the lore if it's told well. I don't mind that.
But I guess my definition of lore is that it's not being handled well. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Like if it's handled well, it's just story. It's just part of the story. It's backstory.
Yep.
But when you stop and the character explains that in the year blah blah blah, like usually in a lot of movies it's the voiceover at the beginning of the movie. Or the
opening crawl.
Or the opening crawl. Well, the opening crawl is a unique thing.
No. I'm not saying it's unique. I'm just saying it's a story.
It was unique and weird. But even that was like real bare bones. It was there's the Empire and Luke Skywalker and this is the thing. It wasn't like the Darksaber was passed down from Pooh Vizsla to P Vizsla to Shmi Vizsla, and then I have it, and it's symbolic of the thing and the blah blah blah.
I like the whole. Again, I've already said.
I know you like the Darksaber as a stylistic concept.
Yeah, but I like Paz Vizsla because it's freaking Foggy Nelson from Daredevil. It's freaking Jon Favreau. That's why I like Paz Vizsla. I like
the character. I
love the character. I think
it's cool. Weird though that he's like. I mean, maybe I have to go back and rewatch those episodes because the ancestor Vizsla was one of the quote normal end quote Mandalorians who didn't wear a helmet all the time. I mean, he had a helmet, but he didn't wear because I've got the action figure. All right, so and he but this Vizsla is part of the weird Concordia Dawn Death Watch.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which isn't a thing anymore, but that's how they originally explained the weird sect of Mandalorians. But I don't know how we got from there to here, but the story.
Yeah. So we get to episode 6, and episode 6 is the guest star episode because you have 3 guest stars in here. And before we get to that, I just want to say all of these Mandalorians that we get introduced to, I don't dislike Bo-Katan. She's cool. She's all right. But I like I've already said, Paz Vizsla. I love Axe Wolves. I think that guy's cool as hell. And I like their crew. I think their crew is cool. I think that's awesome. But then we get to this whole palace thing, and then there's Lizzo, which I know some of her songs, which is fine. And then Jack Black is just in every fucking thing ever. Like, I get it. He's a geek. He's awesome. He's cool. He's interesting.
Yeah. If I were Jack Black, and if I were Jack Black, I would leverage being Jack Black into getting into Star Wars.
Oh,
but
no.
But what I'm saying is,
yeah.
But I also would handle it differently once I got in.
Yeah.
Where I would be like, can I be in the Gamorrean suit?
Yeah.
Or have a helmet? Can I not be Jack Black?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Can I actually be a character that is not just myself? Like, you look at all the films he's been in, and if you want, or if somebody else wants to do this with me, I might do like an actor spotlight on him. But like, I can think off the top of my head like 17 different films that he's been in where it's just been his Jack Blackness. It hasn't really been him playing characters. He's had this overall, when I say attitude, I don't mean attitude as in bad attitude. I mean, he just has this overall presence of being the person that he is, and you recognize him as, like, I don't even know what the character's name was. I don't know what her character. It's Lizzo and Jack Black.
Yeah. Well, the
Queen Lizzo.
Quick funny story about that, real quick, is I knew Lizzo existed. Right. I knew there was a singer named Lizzo. I knew she was a larger girl, but I didn't know that was her.
Okay.
Like when I watched it the first time, I knew that the second time, but I didn't know. I was just like, this lady is terrible. Like and it's funny because she underacts, like she's just almost like not there. Like, she doesn't project much. And then there's Jack Black, who acts for like three people, because he's so over the. So it was funny to me. Like everyone's like, oh, Lizzo ruined it. I'm like, which one? Wait, Lizzo was in this? Oh, she was the Duchess. Okay. So what I'm saying is I didn't go into it with like, curse you, Lizzo. I was like, this lady is not very good. And a friend of mine was like, well, Lizzo's a big Star Wars fan. I'm like, okay. Well, again, she could have been somebody in the background who the whole episode didn't revolve around, maybe. But then she wouldn't get to cuddle Grogu and play with Grogu. And it's like, okay, well.
Yeah. Like I said, I know everybody on the internet complained about them being there, and I'm not complaining about them being there. I'm complaining
about them being bad.
Yeah, I'm complaining about the writers not giving them actual character. Like, it's just them. It's just their human personalities of real life. It's not them acting as character. Like, it's not her. And you were just talking about her acting and how she kind of underacted on it. Like, I am the Grand Queen of blah, 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 and my name is blah, 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 blah. Same thing with Jack Black. Jack Black can go over the top at any top. Like, that dude is... He's the lead singer of Tenacious fucking D. Like, I mean, come on. Well, he was, but was, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So we get to episode 7, The Spies.
We're not gonna talk about Christopher Lloyd?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Doc Brown.
Like it's weird because, like, speaking of writing, I think he was actually an interesting character.
Yeah.
But it was hard for me to not see Christopher Lloyd. Which is weird because I don't have that issue in like the Back to the Future movie, any other movie he's been in. Yeah. But this time it was Christopher Lloyd. But he was an old school separatist. I was like, oh, that's something we really haven't seen, in modern Star Wars. Yeah. It was a reference to the prequels and the separatists, and I thought at least his motives were interesting.
Yeah, his motives were interesting.
I have a big button and I will shut the whole planet. Like the whole planet was infuriatingly stupid. We all vote and we're all blah 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 and we're all lazy and being taken care of by droids and like you can't do anything unless the vote says you're allowed to do it. I'm like, ugh, this is a bad episode of the Orville.
That or it's Wall-E, but for Star Wars.
It is Wall-E, yes.
Oh my god, I can't stand that movie. I'm sorry.
I love Wall-E. You're a monster, sir.
Maybe I'll change my mind one of these days. But yeah, Eva. I like Eva. I like Wally and Eva together. The rest of that movie, nah, I could. But my note for Christopher Lloyd was, oh, good. It has Doc Brown. Wow, but he looks old. Like
He does.
really, really ancient. Like he looks. He doesn't look unhealthy. He just looks old, and the way that he looks. And maybe it's just the way that the man's aging. I don't know. But he looks bad. Like I don't know. Like it just didn't.
Yeah, well, when 900 years old you reach, look as good you will not. Mm-hmm. It's a line from Star Wars.
Yes. Speaking of which, I need to look into how old Grogu actually is because
he's 50.
He's 50 throughout this entire. See?
Okay, he's like maybe 52.
Okay, so he's as old as you. Great.
He's almost he's as old as Anakin.
Oh, okay, that'll work. But like, what my curiosity with Grogu is going forward is whatever they end up doing with him. I know they won't change him too much, but like, I want to see him grow up and be a full-grown Yoda. I want to see him be.
Buddy, like
what?
That's going to be such a time jump.
Oh no, I know it is, and I don't mind. Like, look, it could just be a flash forward. It doesn't have to be like you can still have all your merchandise. You can still have all your Baby Yoda stuff and Baby Grogu stuff and all that.
They'll do it like they did with Groot. We'll have teenage Grogu. We kind of almost gotten this one.
We kind of almost gotten this one. That would be actually hilarious.
Like one of the best things about the season.
Yep. Absolutely.
But for those who, because we're skipping it, like they semi-rebuild IG-11, but they make it like a mech suit for a hot minute. It's IG-12.
IG-12. I love that. I think that is so cool, though, because
and he's got the little buttons for yes and no, which is great because like Grogu can finally kind of talk.
Yep.
Which is, something we've been waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no issues with IG-12. I love that they did that.
I love IG-12. I hated that they built him as IG-11.
Yeah, I know.
By the way, Christopher Lloyd is 83 years old.
Yes. Oh boy.
So for 83, like if I look that good at 60,
yeah, exactly. Hell, if I look that good at 45, and 45 is only a few months away. So in season 3, episode 6, Mando antagonizing the droids.
That was great.
No, it was great, but I'm just like, wait. You're really going to poke the bear on this? Really?
Oh, he's been waiting his whole life to kick those droids around. You know that.
Yeah.
Droid.
Yeah. I don't know. So I'm going to have to look at Wikipedia because I don't know what the fuck happened in episode 7. All I wrote down was and Moff Gideon is back.
Which doesn't really seem to have... it's got a little bit with, I think, what's her name?
Yeah.
I think there's one episode that we're not... That might be episode 7, where Ahmed Best plays a Jedi... Grogu has because Grogu has the flashback with the armorer.
Yeah,
and the armorer hammering the Beskar, and Grogu has a flashback to Order 66. Yeah, and Ahmed Best plays the Jedi that rescues Grogu, which is like I've spent this episode complaining about cameos, but that right there was great.
Yeah, because you guys can't good
because it gave Ahmed Best like a redemption for the fan, like the fans. Embraced him. They were like, "Yay! This is the guy that rescued Grogu. We love you."
Yeah. People can't see this because it's audio, but I'm literally shaking my fist in the air at what you're saying because I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And look, I get it.
Yeah. Well, it's not his fault that Jar Jar was an annoying character.
No. But
and in retrospect, it's one of those things like I was a loudmouth jerk back in the early 2000s. I was one of those guys that didn't like Jar Jar. I don't think I hated him that much. I was more meaner in general to Jake Lloyd, which I also feel like you feel guilty about that afterwards. Like to hear what happened with Ahmed Best and some of the other characters, some of the other actors that have there has been harassment of actors in the Star Wars franchise. I think they overplay that now.
Unfortunately,
but I think there has been, and so I'm glad he came back. I'm glad he got a character role that let him earn redemption. Yeah. Like the little side story, when I was watching Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yep.
Spoiler for Spider-Man No Way Home. There's a moment where Mary Jane falls off the Statue of Liberty, and the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man catches her. Mm-hmm. And the dude in the theater sitting next to us went, "Redemption!" And the whole theater laughed and broke into applause. That's kind of how I felt when like Ahmed Best showed up. I was like, redemption, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it made me happy. Like, you want to know what happened. Like where'd they go? What'd they do? And then they went to a Naboo ship. So it's like, where'd you go? What'd you do?
And they've done things outside of TV and movies. They've done things with Jar Jar that make him a cool and interesting and like they've done the dark Jar Jar stuff, and they've done this and they've done that. The
Clone Wars had that one episode. Was it Bombad Jedi, or it was a different one where like it really kind of redeemed. Like,
yeah,
as much as I've been complaining about Filoni, those early seasons at least of Clone Wars, because I haven't seen the whole thing, so I can't say one way or the other.
Right.
But there was a lot of good stuff in them. And I think one of the things they did was they took Jar Jar serious. Like, they did a good Jar Jar episode where it's like they're in his environment and he knows what he's doing and he's useful. Like, for me, it's not that a character is annoying or stupid or goofy. It's, are they useless?
Yeah.
Do they do anything that, like, because storytelling, even novels, but novels can be a little flabbier, but storytelling it's got to be a very economical process, particularly a movie, because you've only got so much time and so much, like, ability to tell everybody's story. So you've got to do something with what you have. You can't have a lot of flab on those bones. You can't have a character that's there because your kid thinks it's funny, particularly if he's not that funny. Like, if he's not that funny, but comic relief characters are generally hated because Jar Jar really, the only reason Jar Jar is there is for the ending when he gives Amidala the idea to use the Gungans for Operation Gungan Shield.
Yeah.
And then he does nothing in the rest of them. Then he sells out the entire galaxy to the Empire. Yellow Feligates. Which seems like a very cruel thing on Lucas's part.
Yeah.
Like, have Jar Jar be the guy that sells out the Republic.
Yeah.
And then he has like a 1-minute cameo and he's at Padme's funeral. But like, you compare that with like Dobby from the Harry Potter series. And like, Dobby was annoying and everybody hated Dobby too. But like, in the final book, he sacrifices himself to save Harry, which is a heroic. Like, that's what Jar Jar should have sacrificed himself to protect Padme. And everybody would have loved him. But Dobby sacrifices himself, and then Griphook sees Harry burying Dobby by hand, even though he's a wizard. And that convinces Griphook to help Harry. So Dobby fulfills a function in the story, as opposed to just being this character that the author likes that does annoying things. That's the thing. Everybody's got to contribute, and Jar Jar really doesn't, aside from the comedy relief, which is, questionable at best. Stepping in poop, getting farted on. There you go.
My favorite one is my tongue stuck.
Yeah.
It's like he put his tongue on the pole from A Christmas Story, and I have that Funko Pop with his tongue sticking out.
I have the action figure where it's like he's putting the hands up and he's sticking his tongue out like to be offensive. And right there holding his tongue.
Yep. I'm not too sure about the design on the Beskar enhanced stormtroopers. I don't know if I like that or not.
Well, I mentioned at the very beginning that when Boba Fett first arrived, they called them Mandalorian Super Commandos, and now I think somebody remembered that because these are the Super Commandos, right? That's what they are. They're jetpacks, and also, like, did you even feel that it was Beskar?
No,
those guys went down like quick.
Yeah, they went quick. Yeah, no, they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with them shooting, and then Din and everybody else that were shooting at them were basically like one-shot kills. Like, it did nothing for them because it was like from what I remember seeing, because I literally just watched all of this last night. It was like, here's an armor piece for your shoulder, here's an armor piece for your other shoulder, your chest is not going to be protected at all. It's going to be white because people need to know you're a white stormtrooper. I don't know. It was freaking weird. I did not like. I like stormtroopers having jetpacks. I think that's cool. But the rest of it, not so much.
Yeah, it was kind of a wet fart. It was interesting to see the Praetorian Guard show. Oh, I did like I did kind of like the scene with the Imperial the holograms with the Imperial remnants. Because we got to see Captain Palion, which I was like, yay! Did you ever read the Heir to the Empire books, the Thrawn books?
I read the comics. I don't know if I actually read the actual books.
So Thrawn is basically Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
And Palion is his Watson.
Okay, gotcha.
So it was neat to see. And he was the guy who was like, oh, Thrawn will come. One day Thrawn will come for us and he will save us all.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. I mean, they're setting up the sequel trilogy in that.
Yeah. They're setting up the sequel trilogy. And because we did this out of order, we have already technically seen Thrawn in live action with Ahsoka when we did that show.
But Ahsoka came after Mandalorian season 3, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We did this out of order. We did the Ahsoka episodes of the podcast before we started doing
but we did them as their own thing. We didn't.
Right.
12
Yeah. Yep. Episode 8, Chapter 24, The Return. I love that they, with Mandalorian specifically, I love how all of this is like an entire book. Like from season 1, episode 1, that was chapter 1. Season 3, episode 8 is chapter 24. I think that's cool because it makes me feel like I'm watching a chapter, like I'm reading a chapter of a book, like a 30-minute or a 49-minute or a 48-minute, however, whatever the timestamps are. I like that. I think that's cool with the episode titles. It's just something small.
No, it's a neat detail. I think I'm ready for a new book.
Hey, I think we're all ready for a new book.
I was so ready for Gideon to be gone.
He is gone.
Yes, now. Well, maybe. They can bring him back because there was a whole thing where he had all those clones.
Oh, yeah, but didn't destroy those.
He destroyed those clones. But what you didn't know is that on planet Pootaboo, he had a separate clone thing and blah, blah, blah. Dude, the minute he got clones, like, they can always bring him. Yeah, and somehow Palpatine survived. So.
Okay, yes. No, I know. But, like, for this, and this is what I love about this season of this show, that scene at the end with the fire and the stuff and the whatever and I
love that Grogu saved them.
Yes,
them.
That's what I'm getting to. I love that whole scene with the fire and the stuff and the whatever, and then Grogu stands up and he puts the force field, or he does whatever he does and keeps the fire away from them. I actually have a screenshot. I think I tagged you on Facebook. I could be wrong if I didn't. I might have. Anyway, I'll look later. But I took 4 screenshots from Boba Fett and 3 from Mando, I think, and that was one of them. Is the scene with the quote-unquote family, Mandalorian, Bo-Katan, and Grogu standing with the fire around them.
To go back a little bit, that whole sequence is really like you were talking about Axe Wolves.
Yeah.
Like that whole sequence where he's like bringing the ship down to like wreck them, and then I was because I couldn't remember if he got out or not, and then he gets out, and I'm like, yay! That whole sequence is actually kind of really bad. While I was a little disappointed overall with the season, like that sequence was really good, and it did work.
You know what that sequence reminds me of? That sequence reminds me of Justice League, because in Justice League, I forget which. It's either I think it's season 2, when Batman tells everybody to go get out, get away. I'm going to take this ship and I'm going to go up there and I'm going to destroy the stuff. And Kevin Conroy, may the man rest in peace, he's been gone 2 years, but his final line before he crashes the ship into the thing for the Hawk people is, "Gentlemen, it's been an honor." And that scene in this show is that's what I thought of with Axe doing the whole ship thing, and then obviously he escapes. But yeah, no, I love that scene. That was awesome.
So let me do my little side tangent. Is in Critical Role season 3, there's a moment where they have like a skyship and they're trying to stop this big thing from happening, and they're going to crash their ship, and it's like set up to be this epic moment, but it's still like halfway through the season.
Right.
So like it actually ends up like affecting, like it's this amazing dramatic moment, and it ends up being a wet fart. It doesn't do anything. It accomplishes nothing.
Gotcha.
And you're just left with massive blue balls. So for me, watching this was like, yes, we finally get to see the cool dramatic ship crashing and accomplishing the thing. It was like, this is as cool as we imagined it. But the story necessitated that it failed that other time.
Yeah,
but here it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Proof of concept.
Yes, proof of concept. Obviously, to those that have seen this before, Din formally adopts Grogu. He takes up on the honest contract work with Carson, as I've mentioned before, and basically we get, and this is what like makes me upset, sort of.
We get another perfect ending, and they'll screw up.
It's not even a perfect ending.
It is a perfect ending. He's on the cottage on the prairie, and Grogu picks up a frog, but he doesn't eat it. He lets it go.
Yeah, he lets it go. But it's okay. But, like, I would have been fine with that ending if they just did a regular fade. My problem with that ending is they did the Looney Tunes super in circle kind of thing. And at the end of this podcast, folks, you're going to hear Porky Pig say, blah, 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 that's all, folks, because literally the end of season 3, episode 8, chapter 24, The Return, that's what I thought of was Looney Tunes with that super zoomed in circle.
Star Wars has always been notorious for weird, goofy wipes. Like,
true. I just wish it was a better wipe, that's all.
That was your response. That was not my response. Because they do that to focus on Grogu when he lets the frog go. So,
yeah. True.
Because he's learned to respect life.
Yay. Learn to respect life. That's awesome.
As opposed to the New Republic, who don't care and are idiots.
Nope. Yep. They don't care.
But they are, and they're not even bringing their best SNL alumni.
Nope.
No knock on Tim Meadows, but I mean he's no Keenan.
Yeah, he's no. And
I would respect the Galactic Authority that had Keenan as their fleet controller.
Yeah, and Keenan is everywhere now.
Is he?
Yeah, I've seen Keenan all over the place. Wait, is it Keenan or Kel? No, it's Keenan.
It's Keenan.
It's
Keenan's
Keenan
the big
Thompson.
One.
Yeah. I've seen him in so much stuff over the last couple of years. Like, he's everywhere.
I only watch YouTube and occasionally stuff on Disney Plus, at least until Andor season 2.
Jeez.
And then I'm done.
Then you're done.
I have to look up. I hate to say this, but like I have an exit strategy from Star Wars, which is sad. And one of them is finishing this series with you.
Yeah.
So it's very symbolic. It's like we're going through the series and we're finishing it. Mm-hmm. Andor season 2, but that's really more about Andor season 1 than about Star Wars. I love that so much. And then the Hasbro for people who don't know about toys, they did a HasLab for the Cantina, which had the Tanaka sisters as a basically like sparkly thing that would get people to back it. Right. They are characters that Hasbro has said in the past they would never make.
Right.
And they would never ever do. And they are literally the impossible figures. They were never going to be made, and they're made for this. And it's like, what better note to go out on than getting the 2 figures that were never going to be made? You know what I mean? Just symbolically, like the 2 characters you were never going to get, and just to sell a $500 toy, they put them in there. So it's like, it's a good note to go out on.
There you go. All right.
At that point, Star Wars will be another. Like, it's not that I'm abandoning Star Wars completely. I'm selling all my toys. I'm getting rid of my DVDs. It's that Star Wars becomes another franchise. It doesn't become Star Wars. It stops being Star Wars and it becomes Battlestar Galactica. It becomes Star Trek. It becomes Lost in Space. It becomes another franchise that I will watch on a case by case basis, which is sad because Star Wars was a big deal to me.
Yeah, I think it's all a case by case basis at this point, especially now that they've had Ahsoka in live action. They've now got Thrawn in live action, and whatever happens with that, it's always going. Like, I'm interested to see what's coming up past Acolyte, and hopefully it's better than. You guys got to do better on the writing. End of story with the future
Skeleton
stuff.
Crew. It's Space Goonies.
And the funny thing about that, and you say that, and you're absolutely right. I remember watching Goonies as a kid and not caring about it, and I haven't cared about it since then. And I'm like, ooh, I think maybe I should go back and rewatch that movie and see if my mind changes or anything, because I've never, ever cared about the Goonies whatsoever.
I mean, I'm an 80s kid, and I never, ever cared about the Goonies.
So,
I don't understand the love for it.
Yeah, me either. Did the show keep your interest throughout? Yes, for the most part, I would say for me.
Yeah, I mean, especially the first time watching it, and I stuck with it, even though there were parts that I really didn't want to watch. So yeah, I was invested enough to see how it came out.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we itching to watch the next show or season of this now? I know the next thing they're doing is the movie Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't know if there's ever going to be a season 4. And like you said, it's basically the happy ending, blah, 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 Looney Tunes ending with, everybody's happy. Mando can now go. Like, I actually want to see if they do a season 4 or future things that aren't just movies. I want to see him working with Carson. I want to see him doing that deal that they made. I think that would be cool. Again, like you said earlier about season 1 and season 2 of the show, going from planet to planet, going from place to place, and doing the thing and being the space bounty hunter.
But there's no lore in that. There's no sweep to it. There's no scope to it. It's not the same as liberating Mandalore. Just having some grubby old going from planet to planet and dealing with the villain of the week. So trite. So.
I can't believe I just asked for a villain of the week. Wow. I have never asked for a villain of the week thing, and I just asked for one. Holy crap, that's crazy. Would we recommend this show to people? Yeah, I would. I guess.
You made a good argument about it being one book, and it until they screw it up, it finishes off the story.
Yeah. So
yes. Like if you watch season 1 and season 2, an unenthusiastic recommendation for season 3. Like if you got to keep going, it wraps up a lot of loose ends, or a chunk of loose ends. So a reluctant recommendation. Yeah. You're better off just stopping at the end of season 2 and walking away. But with all of Star Wars, just end at season 2. Luke goes off with Grogu. You don't find out what happens with the Academy. You don't find out what happens with Han. You don't find out what happens. It's fine. You're better off. You're happy. You'll be happier that way.
Yeah. GCRN rating scale, man. I'm going to give it a 3.5, which is good. It's a mixed bag, but the good stuff outweighs the bad. There might be one amazing element or lots of fun moments to make the flaws easier to swallow. And they're not deal breakers, but they do hold it back.
I'm going to give it a 3. Overall, I think I was disappointed, but at the same time, there was a giant alligator turtle creature. There was ID-12. There were the little tiny droids that held the hem of this thing. There was some good stuff in there. And yes?
No, Sidara's motto, whatever her name is, the mechanic chick.
Yeah. That's one thing we didn't talk about was the new ship.
The N1 Starfighter.
Well, my thing is this, because that's actually my favorite prequel ship. Okay. I love it, but at the same time, it is absolutely impractical for Din, because it's a one-seat starfighter. Like, how is he going to bring his bounties back?
It looks. When they did the close-ups,
it looks cool, but
the ship itself looks cool. But when they did the close-ups of him in the cockpit, I'm like, whoa, buddy, back up a little. That's a little too close.
Well, actually, there were a couple shots of when he was fighting the TIE interceptors. He was fighting the TIEs. They look great. Like the effects look really good.
Yeah, the effects look really good. Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with a 3. Overall, I'm a little disappointed with how it ended. But there's good stuff in there.
Yeah. And for us at GCRN, you said 3. So average, it's not bad, but it's not amazing either. Nothing really stands out. And well, I wouldn't say it's forgettable, but that's what the rating on our website says. But that's how we worded it. Hey, overall, I'm good with where we are for now. Like we've said, we already recorded. We already did the Ahsoka episodes outside of this because I didn't think to put them into this because we were trying to do the whole evergreen content, and I hate doing evergreen content, at least for review shows. But yeah, next up, oh boy,
Force Awakens, right? Am I right on that?
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. So yeah, that's gonna do it for us, folks. I think that's it's long enough for this episode.
Well, you crammed in 2 shows, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not complaining.
And a third, like, ruminating, because of the timing, the ruminating on the Acolyte.
On the Acolyte, yeah. That's going to do it for us, folks. Thank you for listening. You can find us on social media, on X, on Facebook, all that good stuff. Usually it's Geekcast Radio. For this show, on X, it's Studio 2009. On Facebook, it's Studio 2009 Podcast, I believe. I am at TFG1Mike most everywhere. It's TFG1Mike Presents on Instagram. Dave doesn't really do social media.
I am unsocial. Like, look, if you need to get to me, just ask Mike. He'll let me know. Trust you.
That's right.
Trust me.
That's right.
Trust you. Jesus. Can we wrap this up?
Yes, I'm doing that.
I need my brain pills.
Yeah, you need it. I need my brain pills. Join us next time when Dave and I will be talking about, in the 12 Months of Star Wars series, the Star Wars sequel trilogy. We start with Episode 7, The Force Awakens, but it needs a nap.
I do.
For now, I am TFG1Mike with
David Draper.
You'll hear us back in the studio soon.